most misinformed person that I've ever met. You don't even know what's going on in Israel.
Okay, that's right. You don't know what's going on in Israel. Maybe you shouldn't be speaking
Are
on the
you
subject.
guys serious?
Yes, maybe you should leave it to me.
I'm sorry. Do you know what's happening in Israel?
Of course, bro. I read the newspaper.
Oh, okay, well, you know what? Why don't you crack an egg and knowledge all over me?
Okay.
Can I start?
Yeah.
Well, okay. There's a war on terror, Charlie. Have you ever seen CNN? Okay. George Bush right now.
Yeah, well, start from the beginning.
Okay,
Saddam Hussein has the oil.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh.
Charlie,
okay.
we
It is
have
a
decided
war on
to
terror.
help the people of Israel
To give our oil back to us.
by defeating Saddam Hussein.
My head is like swelling with knowledge.
freedom, Charlie.
Like wonderful knowledge.
Well, you're being
sarcastic
Yeah.
when we're talking about our...
You can't hide from it forever.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Geopolitics, and back again is the one and only Matt from Foulball Productions, the MF for himself. What's up, buddy? Thanks for joining me.
Boom. Didn't realize I was muted. Sorry. I'm well, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. I was just this was a last minute addition. I was like, I wanted to, because I was watching your podcast this
Thanks,
morning,
man.
and I like your intro.
Thank you.
I love the I mean, Sunny in Philadelphia is one of the, especially early Sunny in Philadelphia is one of my
Early Sunny is my
funny-
favorite. Those first like 3 seasons are some of my favorite TV ever.
like the whole politics one where it's like, the Republicans blasting me in the ass, the Democrats are blasting me in the ass. It's all one big ass blast.
That's why I have that in my intro, because I was looking for, so you know the YouTuber Atlas Thugged?
Yes.
His intro to me, I'm like, every time I watch it, I get so hyped up, and I'm like, his is a lot more serious. I'm just not as serious of a guy, so I kind of wanted to take that inspiration from that, and so I was like, let me look back at things I really love that have like a political bent to it, you know, because that's the direction my show's been. And then I was watching that episode, and I just pulled all these clips, and I was like, I kind of want them just all in my intro. They're all so great. So it looks like I worship Sonny, which I don't, but that episode is just so good.
I think, man, there were so many good episodes. Like there was the Charlie. Now, even before Danny DeVito joined in season 2, those episodes were funny as well, with just the 4 of them.
Yeah.
And I think the funniest one that I laughed at the hardest, and this was right at I watched this like years after they first came out. So, I think I was out of college, so Obama was president. So this was when season 5 was airing, was when I first started watching it.
Okay.
Buddy got me into it. The one where Charlie gets molested. Season 1. And
that's
so
we're introduced to the McPoyles.
Yes.
Yeah.
The McPoyles, and then they have the little intervention.
Yeah.
I think it's the first time we meet Charlie's mother.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Where on the doll did they touch you?" And he's just like,
just
"Bitch."
Slowly.
Yes. And then what was even funny, the funniest part was Mac being upset that he wasn't molested by the same teacher.
He's like, I've got pictures, and he tells like Dee and Dennis, and then they're just like, oh God, oh no. And he goes, look at that kid, he was adorable. And they just like figure out what he's up to, and they're like, you're going to hell, dude.
yes. Yeah, that's my type of humor.
Yeah.
So, and then there were a few other crazy ones. There was the one where Dee, I think this was many seasons later, Dee gets audited, and she pretends she has a baby, and she pretends the baby they pretend the baby died, and they have this mock funeral, and they put a dead dog in the casket, and they dumped it out in front of everybody in the bar. I'm just like, I had to turn it off.
Wow.
Because I was choking on whatever it was I was eating or drinking.
Yeah.
Like that I think I wheezed because I'm an asthmatic. I think I wheezed. I think I wheezed. That's how crazy that moment was. So.
You know, I kind of lost track of Sonny as it got a little bit later down the road, but like the early episodes, I found them when I was in college. I went to college in New York City, and these dudes that I knew like told me about it, and it was like this new hit show. It was on the air, and they showed me a few episodes, and I was like, oh my God, this is genius. Like, this is so funny and like raunchy. Do you know that the original name for the show was that it was Always Sunny in Los Angeles?
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, that was the original name, and they wanted to set it in LA, but then they, couldn't for whatever reason, so they set it in their home city of Philly. And that's where it becomes, because it's like, it kind of doesn't make any sense, because you're like, it's not always sunny in Philadelphia. In fact, Philadelphia's a shithole.
It is. I was there for the first time last year. I visited.
Oh, really?
I visited a friend I've never met before, and I swear to God, I remember the episode where they're going through the alley, and the crackhead comes and says, "Give me your money," and then they push D down and they run away, and then the mugger's like, "Nice friends."
Nice friends, yeah.
I actually was that lived rent free in my brain the entire, because I arrived like at 11 p.m., 12 p.m. Already I took like a sketchy ride because a few people from another country, probably from the Middle East, said, "Hey, we will give you lift. We will give you lift," and all that. I was like, "Okay, fine. I don't feel like getting an Uber." And they charged me like $120.
Oh,
just from the airports. I was like, "Okay, fine. Yeah, if you want, we can pick you up. Let me know." And I was like, "I'll let you know." I didn't let them know. I did not let them know.
I know. I'm always so wary of getting ripped off, because when I was a kid, when I was like in college, like in New York, I was so not street smart. I would get taken left and right. You know, one night I was trying to buy weed, and this guy sold me a foil of blunt guts. He just like took a blunt and just the tobacco, and I couldn't really see it. Mm-hmm. And I just totally got. And I was like, "Hey, I got it." I came back to my friends. We all opened it, and it was just, we're like, "Oh."
Oh, no.
Yeah. I got a bunch of times like that. I just wasn't street savvy at all.
I'm still not street savvy. I was just like, whatever. Okay, I'll pay, whatever. I wanted to get to the hotel, and then I was like, you know what? I'm hungry and I'm bored, so I decided, I'm going to walk around. And it looked like there were a lot of people outside. This was like midnight Friday night, and I was like, I'm going to find this. I want some chicken. I want a good chicken sandwich. So
Sure.
I go to this chicken sandwich place, and I'm walking there from my hotel. I thought I was staying at the nicest hotel downtown. Downtown's a shithole, literally. And I nearly tripped. I nearly freaked out and tripped on a homeless guy sleeping on the ground.
No
I didn't
way.
see him. And then I swear it was like The Walking Dead, or heck, Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
They're like zombies walking
Yeah.
around. There's college kids hanging out, and then there's like zombies like walking in the streets. And I swear I was dodging crackheads left and right. I get to the place.
Man.
I got to the chicken place. I felt like I was in the South Side of Chicago. I was like, I ate. I waited for the food. They gave it to me. I was like, "Should I eat here?" No, I went back.
Yeah, let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
there's a block that is called K&A. It's Kensington and something. And there's a constant live stream of it, and it's just the most just zombies, just fentanyl heads, it's a hellscape. And Philadelphia's a brutal city, but most of the cities in that area are shit. Like I grew up in northern New Jersey. There's not really like a nice city in the whole state. They're all terrible. Camden, Newark, Elizabeth, Trenton. They're all slums, dude. Like there's not one nice city.
Yeah. Before I get into that, this would be a great point to talk about the video I watched. Is liberalism dead or something?
Yeah.
But I want to say hello. We got William Richards in the chat. White Cloak, the White Cloak himself. What's up, buddy? Thinks I've got 90 minutes left and on an 8-hour drive, and I was nodding off.
Nice. Oh shit.
Yeah. He travels a lot for work.
Homie.
Yeah, he travels a lot for work.
I'll try not to do the AMSR or what is it, AMSR? What the fuck ever that is.
ASMR.
Yeah, ASMR. That's it. Yeah. Podcast
ASMR, buddy. ASMR. We got Cajun Corey here. What's up, buddy?
What's up, dog?
And we got my bro, Staple Bro, also known as Prince of Ravens 64. What's up, buddy?
What's cracking?
So, yeah. So, I was watching this video, or actually, I was listening. I wasn't watching because I was driving, and you're not supposed to watch a video and drive. So.
Sure.
But I was. They were talking about like how cities. It was basically about how cities had been ruined. Especially since the 60s, when riots became a thing, and certain communities were responsible for riots. Sure. And it wasn't just you remember learning about Martin Luther King. He was killed in 1968 in Memphis. I've heard some conspiracy theories regarding Martin Luther King and who handled him or who controlled him. I won't
Oh
say
yeah, it's
who.
not even a conspiracy theory. I mean, it was straight up communist activists that like activated him. It was a whole. So yeah, it goes kind of deep. I don't know if I have all the facts like at the front of my brain right now, but it was like basically these, so like in the 20th century, being, especially early 20th century, being like a socialist or being a communist actually wasn't like, it was very posh. Like celebrities like Charlie Chaplin and stuff, they were all communists. They were like outwardly communist. And
Yeah, you've seen The Great Dictator, right? Remember his speech? I mean, I love his speech at the end, but after watching it recently, you know what he called for in his speech?
No,
Open borders. He called for
really.
open borders in his speech at the end of that movie. And I was thinking about that. I'm like, this is where the
Yeah.
communism. This is where I was like, okay, this is why okay. This is where this is him showing off his communism at the end of
Oh
the movie.
yeah, yeah.
So,
It was a like Razor Fist, whom recently I've had a poor relationship with because he blocked me on Twitter because I said something nice about Fuentes on one of his threads. I didn't even say anything mean to Razor Fist, and he blocked me. That'll be in a video soon, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But he did a great video about the Red Scare in Hollywood being not a scare at all. That there actually were like USSR funded communists like in our government, and it wasn't at all like an exaggeration. Wasn't a witch hunt, as they said. And he details one particular instance with Elia Kazan. Do you know him? He
the director of On the Waterfront. I forget what else he directed. Elia Kazan. Yeah, I know who he is.
Yeah, great director. And he did direct On the Waterfront, and that was actually like his admission of having been a part of the Communist Party and how much he resented it. And it was basically like him, telling the truth about what was going on inside the kind of communist circles in Hollywood. It's a really great,
Well,
it's a badass picture.
that whole movie is basically about Marlon Brando dealing or struggling with himself whether or not to be a rat.
Yeah.
And the
And
one
the
thing you
rat
learn, one thing you learn from Mrs. Mac from It's Always Sunny, and from the Mister, Mac's parents is don't be a rat.
Yeah,
I just had to bring that into it.
no,
but
but
yeah,
the parallel, but who he was ratting on were the
Yes.
communists. That's
Yeah.
that's what the true like subtext of that story was.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
which
did he
so
write
dark.
Did he write the movie? Like,
It's a good
wasn't
question.
wasn't based off of like a novel or?
That's a great question. I don't think I have an answer for it. It's probably back then. It was probably based on a play.
Yeah, because either a lot of times, I mean, unless you were Stanley Kubrick or directors much later, like in the 60s and 70s, like even Hitchcock, did not like write his own movies. He directed, he produced, but he didn't write them. He always hired screenwriters. Like he didn't write
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like a newer phenomenon of like the French New Wave in the 60s and 70s in America. That wasn't common. It was very industrial. Everyone had their own job, You were hired as a director, you were hired as a writer, they didn't have that kind of top down like
Yeah. Yeah,
filmmaking.
the only directors I know that like write their own stuff. I mean, I think Stanley Kubrick was one of the earliest directors to do that. If you watch any of his movies, he not only directed but he produced. He was like in full total control of all the projects he worked on. I think post Spartacus.
Yeah,
So
that's
from
a great
from
point. Yeah, post
from
Spartacus, yeah.
yeah, so from because you know what, even though he was the director, who was actually calling all the shots? The star of Spartacus, Kirk
Oh, Kirk.
Douglas.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kirk Douglas had the star power, and you couldn't beat that. You couldn't beat that back then. That was the age. It was still the age of the movie star, 1960.
Oh yeah, and I think Kubrick said after that movie, he said he would either never, excuse me, he would never do a film where he didn't have final cut again. I think was his quote. It was either that or he'd never do a film he didn't write. But I think it was what he said. He'll never do a film he doesn't have final cut on again.
Yeah,
Which is
exactly.
like, that's so crazy. Like how hard that is to earn in Hollywood. And he was just like, no, I don't give a shit. I'm never doing it again if I don't have final cuts. Like, baller.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
Shit.
What's your favorite Kubrick film?
That's a good question. I mean, I would lean to, because of my science fiction,
Predilection.
predilection. Probably 2001 was my introduction to Kubrick.
Sure.
but I had no idea that he also, because I rented, I remember renting, so I saw 2001 on Channel 11 on PBS, WTTW, which is what they call it here in Chicago.
Okay.
And I thought it was like, there's a space movie on Channel 11 that came out in the 60s, because I was watching Star Trek when I was a kid. I was in junior high. I was 12, so I was at the ripe age. And then I looked, because I used to read the TV guide. I used to like, okay, what's on? Because I didn't really go out and hang out with friends, because I didn't really have friends at that age, which is probably why I'm awkward now. All that, but beside the point, so Saturdays I would stay home and watch a lot of TV, whether it be old shows or old movies or whatever. And sometimes on Saturday nights, PBS Channel 11 would have, a particular movie on, and that introduced me to a lot of older movies that even my dad did not own. 2001: A Space Odyssey was one of those films.
Wow.
And it was on they broadcasted it several times over the course of a few months. So even the first time I couldn't get through it. I couldn't get through the second part of the movie, which was just them playing Blue Danube after.
Yeah.
And there was no like audio. There was no audio.
Fun fact about that. Sorry to interrupt you, but that was he just picked that as placeholder music while he was editing. He didn't actually intend to use that, and then as he was editing it, he's just like, "This just works so well. Let's keep it."
Yeah, I mean, George Lucas did placeholder music for the original Star Wars movie. I forget the name of the composer, but there was a classical classical series of music. It's called The Planets, and the Mars movement of the planets. I think Combe was the name of the composer. I don't remember. You have to look it up. The planets, the Mars portion of that work was totally the Imperial themes from the original Star Wars.
Imperial March?
Boom, 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 boom. All the do. That's all from that Mars section. Because Mars, why did they choose Mars? Well, Mars was the god of war. So
that's so cool.
Yeah, so I was watching, I was listening, I was like, holy shit. And then I was about to type a comment, and then a billion other people who were already commented years ago said the exact same thing as I did. This is Star Wars, basically. Yeah. And that's what he did. That's the reason why early, John Williams really worked, because I mean, I like John Williams, but as a composer of original music, he's not very good. A lot of his stuff, even the main Star Wars theme, was derivative of an older film. I forget which film it is, but a lot of his stuff is generally derivative.
See, I have kind of maybe a controversial take on that. I'm very pro taking inspiration from other things. Whenever I was like acting or writing or making anything, I feel like, excuse me, I feel like if you're not honest with yourself that you're taking inspiration from other stuff, like, you're gonna actually end up plagiarizing without you realizing it. Like, I feel like all of our ideas, all the things that we find interesting in film, television, movie, storytelling, whatever, come from somewhere else. Something we've seen, something we've imagined, something we stitched together in our own head. And I think it's actually much more honorable to admit that, and then know what you're plagiarizing, when you're plagiarizing it, so that you can be like, oh, okay, because I was writing this pilot with a friend of mine, and it was a really cool science fiction concept about artificial intelligence, and it was something that I'm still very proud of. It never went anywhere, but it was something we did together that was very cool. And I was writing a scene, we kind of write it in tandem, and I was writing a scene, and I was like, oh shit, that's the Matrix. I just was, as I was writing it, I was like, oh, that's the Neo getting contacted by Morpheus, And I was like, oh, well, you know what I mean? Like, it's still how I want this to go down. So once I acknowledged that, I was able to kind of rework it in a way and take the inspiration from the thing, and actually it became its own scene. And you would never know that was the scene. Well, I mean, you might have an idea of where the inspiration came from, but it became its own thing so completely because once I acknowledged that, oh, that's what my brain is taking that from. So I'm very pro, not plagiarism, but that Picasso quote where it's good artists borrow, great artists steal.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's fair enough. When it comes to it wasn't really okay. I'm gonna have to rephrase myself. I still love John Williams, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it was I was surprised to learn that, but if it the thing for me is if you're going to borrow from something, for me at least, it shouldn't be as obvious. So like if you borrow something for, let's say, Star Wars, borrowing from Star Wars is probably not a good idea because everybody has seen Star Wars. It's everybody's seen it. People, if you do something, they're gonna know right away what it is.
Yeah.
I've seen the problem with a lot of current entertainment is that they borrow from Star Wars, they borrow from Lord of the Rings, and they borrow from Game of Thrones. And like for instance, there's a show called Star Trek Discovery.
Yikes!
And
why you gotta bring up such a sore subject, dog?
You know, it gives me no pleasure. I don't like just calling it Star Trek. Just breaks my heart, but it's because it's not Star Trek. Basically, it's everything else but it. Like they have done like they try to bring up like, you know, the more like entertaining, the more brain dead aspects of Star Trek, because Star Trek was always about, you know, interesting ideas about characters dealing with, you know, things that humans have dealt with in ages past. You know, every episode had a point. There was an allegory, usually an allegory involved. There wasn't always an allegory. It wasn't always leftist like a lot of people claim. It wasn't always woke. I mean, there were a few episodes that could you know fill in that description well, but there was a lot of episodes, especially the original series, that were very more conservative. There were more like there was an episode where they had to go after an enemy ship before it got back to its territory, or there would be war, basically. And that's not a liberal thing. That's a more conservative elements and all that. So, and there's masculinity involved. The captain, Kirk and Picard, you know, different aspects of masculinity. You know, Cisco. Yeah, chicks were hot. Like all the women that William Shatner got to hold and all that. Yeah. He just turned 95. He just turned 95. There's a picture of him. Too. He's smoking a cigar on the beach. Go. He's standing up there, and everyone's like, "Shit, man, you don't look 95." And you know why he doesn't look 95? I mean, and he's been through some shit. He has dealt with alcoholism. He dealt with, I don't know if you know, he's dealt with divorce. Like like after Star Trek ended, he went through a divorce with his first wife. He ended up living in a trailer. He had no money. He ended up having no money. And he had to take any. I didn't know that. Yeah, he had to take any role he could, whether it was a guest role or something. So, and then I think his third wife, drowned in their pool. Yeah, his third wife drowned in their pool. And
that's a rough go.
And that was like over 20 years ago. I remember I think I was in high school. Yeah. And now, I mean, he's still with us. I mean, there's him out of the original crew. It's him, Sulu, George Takei, and Walter Koenig are the only three left from the original cast. Everyone else is gone. Everyone else has been gone for years now. So
yeah, at least you still got the Shat. Sulu is such a fucking queef.
George Takei. I had to unfollow George Takei.
Doesn't that suck? I remember that with Mark Hamill, and it was just like, oh, I hate Mark Hamill. This sucks. Why are you making me hate you so much, man?
Yeah, you got them. And I've been unfollowing more. Like I used to look up to, like, you know, the writers, the producers, the actors of Star Trek. I know,
me too.
I had to unfollow Robert Picardo, who played the emergency medical hologram in Voyager. He was in the newest Star Trek.
The new
Starfleet, the Starfleet Academy show, which is basically like people are comparing it to 90210. That is not fucking fair to 90210. The 90210 cast actually looked really hot, and they were. I mean, it was
a big show.
It was a big show. Man. Oh yeah, it was on all the time.
Oh my god, all the Gen Xers loved it.
Yes, they did. Yes, Yes, they did. I actually watched one of the episodes recently just to see. Well, I mean, it was okay. It wasn't great though, but it was just
I'm
it was
sure it's
typical.
not good,
It
but
was high school. It was basically a high. It was for girls. It's a
yeah.
show for girls.
It
so.
is. When I went to a different high school for a year because my mom was a high school teacher and I was a terrible student, so she thought maybe I'd do better if I went to her school. I didn't, but she like thought, she kept an eye on me. I'd do better, and I just don't like school. But
Same here.
But all the kids there, they all watched Dawson's Creek. That
Yes,
was like
that was.
cool
I was gonna
show.
bring that up. Yeah, that was the
Yeah.
one that became big when I went. You and me are the same age. I'm
Yeah,
41.
I'm gonna be
I graduated.
41 soon.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'm the old man between the two of us. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I graduated 8th grade in '99. I graduated high school in '03. So
Oh yeah, I graduated 03 too. Yeah, so the same year.
yeah, '03. Man,
I know.
'03 really pissed me
It's
off.
23 years ago, dog.
Yeah, 23 years.
That sucks.
Can you believe that we went into this is I guess this is where we go into the political part of this.
Let's go.
Iraq. This is where I really started to hate neoconservatives and Bush and with Iraq, because it made no sense to me that we were going to war. I was young and I was worried that there was going to be a draft.
I was fucking ready to go. I tried to join the Marine Corps right out of high school, actually.
Yeah, what happened with that? I remember you brought it up. I think you brought it up yesterday.
It was really weird. So I went and I was gung ho. I wanted to be infantry. I was like all serious about it, and I went through the whole process. I was with this recruiter and yada yada, and I went to what's called MEPS, which is like the processing thing. And they you go there all day, you take tests, this, that, and the other. Piss test, blood test. You fill out all this like paperwork and shit. You're there all day. And the very last thing they do is you have this interview with like this Marine Corps sergeant, and this guy was intimidating as fuck, especially for like, I was shrimpy. I was 18-year-old shrimp. And
I met you. You're not a shrimp. You're anything but a shrimp. You're you're like 6'7". No, okay, you're not that tall. But you're taller than me.
But I was like a slight dude back then. I don't even know if I finished growing, to be honest. Like I probably was like 5'10", 5'11", but I was like, I was not even slender. I was just skinny. I didn't work out or anything. I was like a burnout snowboarder. And this guy was intimidating as fuck. And so he asked me, have you done any drugs? Have you taken any drugs? Because we did a blood test on you, and we'll know if it was in there up to 6 months or a year. We'll know. And I remember specifically the tech who took the blood told me that this was only an AIDS test and that the piss test was for drugs. But this guy was so intimidating that I was just like, yeah, I smoked weed, like whatever. I caved and panicked, and he's like, all right, get this kid out of here. And so they sent me. I just had to hang around for a while, and they sent me to the Marine Corps psychologist, and he asked me, why'd you smoke weed? And I was like, because I like it, you know what I mean? But I was just, that was what was in my head. Yeah, like everyone, I liked getting high. But I was like, when I was a kid, everybody used to say the reason people do drugs is peer pressure. So I was like, let me give like the standard answer. I was like, peer pressure. I just said that. Like, I just thought that was like the right answer, something he wanted to hear that would just get this over with. And this guy decided that no, I wouldn't be able to make decisions in the field. So they washed me out.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I told my dad this story. He like never believed me. I'm like, this is exactly what happened, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Damn.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Yeah,
it was different time. This was 2003.
Yeah.
Now, if you have like a possession on your record, they don't care.
Really?
They just changed that.
Yeah, and I watching your stream or listening to your stream, I was surprised that they raised the age.
I know, that's
the
a
military
terrible sign.
right now to 42.
That's a
now
terrible
it said
sign.
now it said Army. Was it just Army, or was it all the branches of the military?
They just raised it to 42, but I guess the other branches you could already enlist at actually kind of an older age.
Yeah, and the military was.
Could you imagine going into boot camp right now?
No.
Get the fuck.
The military was never in the cards for me. Like, I didn't even run a mile until I was 23 because I was
Okay.
I was an asthmatic, and
Okay.
I never like I used to take steroid based asthma medication.
Okay.
So I was on the wrestling team senior year. Oh my gosh, it was brutal.
Oh.
Like because it was
That's mad
especially.
cardio though. That's more than running a mile.
Nah, we didn't.
Wrestling's
Well,
exhausting.
we didn't run like a mile like back and forth. Like we did. Okay, so we did run something equivalent to over like we ran over a mile, but I couldn't finish. I had to stop several times.
Yeah.
I was the last one. My coach.
Wrestling's brutal.
Yes, and I'll be honest. When it came to, I wasn't a good wrestler. Like I struggled a lot to stay at 215. I was like, and this was me like like working out, exercising. I was 217. I was 217, 5'8", and so I
Big
was
boy.
yeah, I'm a big guy. I mean, I was always big. I was always a big kid.
Probably pretty strong though. If you're working out that much, you're still 215, 217 in high
Yeah,
school.
yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I would. We didn't go. What's weird? It was all like conditioning mostly,
Yeah.
conditioning and technique. And the thing is, I could never remember the technique. The only technique I remember was the half Nelson or to pin somebody. So whenever I was on the mat, and I usually did exhibition because I couldn't make the 215 weight. But then when they did exhibition at the very end, anyone who wanted to wrestle again wrestled again. So they wrestled me. Um, I would just like let them try to grab me or something, and then I would basically defend myself. And I used to be yeah I used to be able to break. I used to be able to like break a grip if someone tried to grip me, like this.
Oh yeah.
I would be able to just simply break the grip,
Yeah.
and then turn the tables on them. So, yeah. I mean, when I was in eighth grade, I was already 5'7", so I was already mostly grown. I was already one. I was like I was 180 in eighth
Okay,
grade,
so you're one of those
14,
dudes. You like I was like
and
a late
nobody could
bloomer.
tackle. We were playing tackle football, and nobody could tackle me.
Yeah. I remember I was played freshman football and I was a late bloomer. I didn't hit puberty until like much later. And I went to go tackle this. I was playing freshman football as a linebacker, and I went to go tackle our running back. His name was Hadi, Hadi, Hadi. And I tackled him and he just fucking dragged me.
Oh my
It was
gosh!
so embarrassing.
Oh
I
man!
wrapped up and I just got dragged. It sucked.
Yeah, whenever I did go against a few people who knew technique really well, and I was down on my back before I even knew it. And one thing I learned is that I don't like to be in close quarters with dudes, especially it's because we smell a certain way and all that. And I was just like, that's why I was able to I was just like, okay, just beat me. Just I don't even want to fight anymore. Just I was like, referee,
I just want this to be over.
slam the mat, and I just want it to be over and all that. So, I mean, yeah, like wrestlers, like sometimes they wear those suits,
Yeah, the singlets.
you
Yeah.
could see the singlets and you see everybody's junk. And sometimes I've had people's junk in my close to my face and all that. So
I used to roll. I used to roll jujitsu. My buddy's trying to get me to get back into it, and I might do it. But I used to roll jujitsu a lot, and I mean, yeah, you're just covered in another dude's sweat. It's fucking gross.
it is extremely. It's oh my god.
It's gross.
Yeah.
And it's just like, because you're breathing so heavy, you just get full nostrils full of another man's odor. It's really gross, dude.
It is extremely gross.
I rolled with a chick one time. She was really hot too, so it was very uncomfortable.
But
She's actually pretty good.
but the ladies don't smell the same.
No, it was.
That's the thing.
I felt like I had to be a gentleman, but I also had to be I had to represent. It was a tough balance, what was the right move here.
Yeah.
But that was a good time. Jiu-jitsu was fun. If you have even a vague wrestling background, you might enjoy jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, my brother's done jujitsu and all that.
Cool.
So I mean, me and him got into a little bit of a fight a little while ago, and he got me in a jujitsu move and all that. I was like,
yeah,
I was like, bro, bro, you won.
Yeah,
bro. Yeah. So
once you know. But it's interesting too, once you understand a few fundamentals, all of a sudden you can start handling dudes, yourself. It's actually like pause, but it's actually like it's pretty cool. Like you can kind of there's like one of these moves just called bridging out. So like if you're on your back, you just like bring your legs like your heels up to just your butt, and you press up with your thighs, so you get like this big lift. And it's like it's something that's not like it wasn't unfundamental to me, but like once you figure it out, it's like it's really hard for dudes to keep you down, because it's like, oh, okay, if your legs are strong, you can really push out of a lot of situations. It sounds like you are a compact motherfucker, so you probably got strong legs.
I don't know. I always hated doing squats.
I hate squats. I do leg press. I never do squats.
I was more of a leg press person myself.
Yeah,
so.
I hate squats, man. I have bad knees. I can't do it.
You know what's funny is I go for walks when I haven't been to the gym in a long time. I have some dumbbells that I'll do some hammer curls. They're only 25 pounds, so I gotta buy some heavier weights. But sometimes I do some weightlifting, like maybe take some of my either work out with dumbbells or something here, either sitting in my chair like this or standing up, or in my case, I go for walks. I go for walks during lunch. Yeah.
I'm so pro walking. Like I have this park behind my house, and it's like kind of half woods, half park. I love it, bro. It's so peaceful. It's the best thing for my brain.
Yeah, it's really good for your brain. I have the ability to shut everything off. Like I will shut off my thoughts and all that, and I will just focus on breathing, focus on the here and now, being present, I guess you could say. It's hard to, and it's very peaceful, and it's helped me quite a bit. It helps you, especially with I don't know if you ever suffer from you have these negative toxic thoughts. You're self-critical. You start thinking about comparing yourself to other people and all that. I just managed to recently, I've watched enough YouTube videos. You can control that. You can control your thoughts. You can just say no to that thought, reject that thought, and you don't think about it. You don't think negatively as much anymore.
Positivity is a choice. It really is.
It is. Totally is.
It's like it seems counterintuitive, or like something you'd see on like a guidance counselor's wall, but it's true. Positivity is absolutely a choice, and it's like you can choose to be positive, you can choose to be negative. It's like I talk about politics a lot on my stream, and I like my dudes in the chat. They black pill and they get negative a lot. I won't do it. I won't black pill. Black pilling is just like, a lot of people say it online. And I mean, I like to empathize, but at the same time, you have to have your own agency. You have to be able to, you have to, like you said, you have to be able to choose how you want to react to things, how you want to deal with things. And the only way to deal with something negative is to basically, things are generally multifaceted. They're the negative things. There's always a bright side to something negative. Mm-hmm. And that's what you gotta figure out. Use your brain, work out the problem, figure out what that bright side is, and then focus on that. And then if you get rid of it, then just put out all the negative stuff in your mind, because it's malproductive. Sorry, dude. So Nos in the chat says there's a difference between black pilled and being realistic. So it's interesting he says that. I read this book, and it's just tagging off what you just said. I read this book called How Champions Think by this guy, Dr. Bob Rotella. He's a sports psychologist, and he worked with like Tiger Woods, LeBron James, like all these dudes. And he said that the most consistent characteristic that he uncovered with exceptional people, high accomplishing people, is this almost like pathological optimism. And that's what he said. That's the most consistent characteristic with all these dudes, is they just believe that they can do it. They believe they can do it, and they keep believing. They never doubt themselves. They never doubt that they can do it.
And the other thing that I keep hearing is they don't think too much; they just do it. And then another term that I just recently been coming across is retard maxing.
Retard maxing, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Our buddy Tom Foe, I actually got turned on to that concept via him because he put out a video before I knew him, before I talked to him on stream. He put out a video, and it actually really helped inform a video I was working on. So I was very grateful that he did it. But he put out a video just on all these creators that he thought were worth listening to, or like worth, like they were just real dudes in the space. And I forgot the guy's name, but that was his whole thing. He's a retard maxer, and like. I love the concept, It's like I find that just do it. Don't think, don't overthink. And it's like I suffer from that to a crippling level, like to the point where it's a real issue that I overthink everything and try to, it's like we used to say back when I was in acting school, we used to say like don't let perfection be the enemy of the good. Mm-hmm. So it's like we're obsessed with trying to be perfect, but that's actually kind of a way of procrastination or avoidance. It's a way of actually not completing the task.
Yep, and that's been one of my biggest flaws for years. I mean, because I work in engineering, and I remember losing a job because management thought was telling me you didn't think this through, you didn't think this through, you didn't think that through. And so ever since then, I was just, I was always
retard maxing. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I was always overthinking solutions to problems and all that, and that's worked against me. So
it can.
And I mean, it still does. I mean, even retard maxing, you can't. I mean, for my current job, I have to be very careful with the work that I do because there's specifications and plans involved, and if you don't follow the stuff closely, what you do and what you propose will be rejected. And if work's been done, that could cost lots of money. So there's a lot of stress involved in my type of work. So I just got in trouble for something along those lines this week. So
really?
Yeah, and that type of stuff used to always live in my, used to be rent free, because a lot of people put their identity behind their work,
Yeah.
And then there's also like I have friends who have had consistent careers. They've never lost a job. They've been working because of the fact that they're working all the time. They were able to get married, and be a consistent provider. And my case was, I was like, I mean, if I was lucky, I'd have a job for about 2.5 years and all that. So it was very different for me because every time I got a new job, it was like relearning the wheel, basically.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of how it is. That's kind of how it was for me. So
yeah, I mean, I spent most of my time was in hospitality, and that one of the biggest issues I always had was just management because. My goal was to be excellent. My goal was to be the best that I could be and give as most precise and excellent service as I possibly could, and I took that to heart. A lot of people kind of it was just a job to them, and that's fine. But like I was very good at it, and I really cared about. I was a excellent bartender, and you'd run into these fucking issues with these idiots. And it's like, you're in my way. I know you're in charge, but you're in my way for being better. So get your shit together so you don't bring me down.
Yeah.
And they hated that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can totally see that.
I was not exercising the 48 laws of power at all, which one of them I think is to don't outshine the master or something like that, or don't outshine the boss. And I had such contempt for management for so many years because these people, they all became exposed to me, is that most of them, they just liked the power. They didn't care about doing the job well. They didn't care about being excellent. They just cared about that they were in charge. And I was like, ugh, I don't respect that. I don't respect you. Stay out of my way.
Yeah, I was watching a clip from, it's been a while since I've watched Office Space.
Ah, fantastic movie.
And I was watching a clip that was going around my feed today. There was a short, and it was the moment where I forget the main character's name, but he's in the briefing room with the two managers, the ones I asked, what do you do around here, and all that. The Bobs, yeah. And he basically says, he's like, I'm not lazy. I just don't have an incentive to care, because
It's a question of motivation, Bob.
it's a question of motivation. And I mean, if I do good, a few more units are going to come out. What am I going to see? Nothing.
I don't see another dime.
Exactly. I'm going to see.
So where's the motivation in that, Bob? Really, the only motivation I have is to not get hassled by my boss.
And I have
Do you
8
know I
bosses.
have 9 bosses, Bob.
Yeah.
Nine bosses.
9
So when I
bosses.
screw up, I got to hear about it 9 times.
Yeah.
That
And
scene rules. It's so
yes.
sick.
and
There's such an
it's so
interesting-
real.
Yeah. Well, there's such an interesting, consistent critique from the Gen Xers who are probably like our age, back then.
Yeah.
Which is like Fight Club, Office Space, The Matrix, these movies where it's just this complete dissatisfaction with this like drone-like existence. It's like, so I did everything right. I did all the things you told me to do, and this is it. I'm just a fucking nameless hack in a corporate office and just have to suck shit off this asshole. Like this is life. Like it's empty. It's meaningless. It's like there's no purpose. Like, and that's like the whole. It's interesting too. I see a lot of parallels with like those Gen Z political guys that we know and we follow. Those, like, I feel like so much of their kind of purpose is so mirrored in like the Tyler Durden speech in Fight Club.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like we have no purpose. Like the Great Depression is our lives. We have no war. Our war is a spiritual war.
Yeah, and men are basically forgotten and treated like the lowest drugs of society, basically.
Yeah.
And a lot of a lot of that is just what you're bringing up. We're told to do this. We're told to do that. One thing that I've kind of come to realize is just that I just stopped trusting what other people say.
Interesting. Even me?
Especially you.
Good
But
man.
it's kind of dug into, and I was curious. This is the reason why I brought up religion earlier. It's kind of came into my religious beliefs. Because a lot of the stuff from religion is basically you're told this, you're told that, you're told what certain passages in scripture means. You're told what we believe in and all that. And I've gotten to the point now where I just feel it's all performative. And I had this conversation with Tom Foe the last time I had him on Geopolitics. I don't know if I don't know if you've seen it, but it got pretty heated because he is it got pretty heated about, because he asked me where I was with my faith, and I told him, and he didn't like that. So
really, I didn't see that part of the show. No, I mean I checked
that was
all, but
that
I
was
didn't see that.
Yeah, that was at the very end. We were talking about faith and all that, because I was listening to your stream when New Year's was going on, and he was talking about how he was an atheist.
Yeah.
And how he got back into the faith, and I was curious about that, because I was curious if maybe I could apply that to myself, like if there was a way to. And what he told me was just because of the fact that I listened to one of his videos, and he basically said that he became an atheist. This was recent. I don't think he said during the stream, but he became atheist because of dispensationalism.
Really?
And his family was dispensationalist, and that's kind of why he kind of lost it there. So
interesting.
So I told him, and we got into this little debate, and I wasn't really interested in arguing with him, but he was just like, he's like, well, how do you account for this? How do you account for that? And I told him to the best of my ability, and they called me a Redditor. I'm like, I've never been on Reddit. So
Don't
but
be
yeah,
a Redditor, Brian.
I guess so.
That's funny.
But no, I mean, I appreciate it. But I appreciate
was he kidding or did he mean it?
I don't know. I'm assuming he did, but I don't really. I don't have I don't hold things against people.
No,
and all
Tom
that.
seems like he's a good dude.
I like him. I want to have him on again if he's interested and all that. I said whenever you want to do it, we got to do a part 3. We still we have still things we got to talk about. Like he's a big KOTOR fan and all that. So, but yeah, it got kind of heated.
Like fashion.
What
is KOTOR?
KOTOR, that's Knights of the Old Republic. It's a video game. It's a Star Wars game.
Meant like Juicy Couture, like COUTORE.
I don't know what that. I don't know what that. I never heard that.
Fashion. It means like fancy. I was like, what?
You know what? I will assume he likes that too.
Looks maxers or something.
I doubt he's watching this.
Okay.
I did tag him, but I doubt he's watching this. But if he is,
right on. No,
maybe you can answer it. Maybe you can answer it. Maybe you can defend your honor that way. But oh yeah, but we talked about, I was going to ask you what where you are. Like, are you religious? Are you not religious?
I'm more religious now than I ever have been. I've always had a relationship with God. Not always, but from about the time I was 18, what does that mean exactly? I've heard that. I've been to Orthodox church. I've been to evangelical church, and I hear relationship with God. What exactly does that mean? Because there's no tangible relationship. So I mean, it's just it's like saying you have a relationship with like Luke Skywalker or something. You watch something, you read it. It's not that abstract actually. It's way more tangible than that. You feel the presence. So it's like
you do.
Yeah, and it's like when you've been in love, like, how could you prove it? But you know it. It's like that. It's like I wasn't raised religious at all. My family's Catholic, but both my parents were. They were just completely disillusioned with the church in general. They just bad relationships going to Catholic school. They didn't like it, and so they both all their parents were religious, but they were not. They didn't pass it on to me. My dad made kind of like a token effort to take us to church a few times. But when you're a kid, it's like it just kind of feels like more school. So it's like if I don't have to go, I don't really want to go. So I just didn't have a relationship. But I was probably skeptical of religion my whole life, but I was never a flat out atheist, because in my mind I was like, well, logically God could exist even if every religion on earth got it wrong. It doesn't disprove God at all. So I was just always very agnostic. Like I just kept an open mind. I didn't know. I always admitted I didn't know. And I think that's the only reasonable position to take. I think if you say you're atheist, it's like that's just you just have faith in a different belief, because you can't prove that.
There's no faith. I mean, that's basically what atheism is. You don't believe in a theistic, being.
Right, but that's a belief, because it's like you can't prove or disprove it.
Yeah, it's unfalsifiable. So
right, so it's like, so you have faith in that concept. You have faith in that idea. You can't prove that. It's not a scientific outcome. There's no theorem that proved there's no God. You just believe there's no God. That's called faith. So you have faith that there's no God. It's the same thing as having faith in God. It's just you picked a different belief. So it's like, but if you're agnostic, I respect that, because I think it's like you're admitting flatly, I don't know.
Personally,
maybe there isn't. I don't know.
I mean, unless something changes and something drastically happens, I am of the position right now that man created God as a way to cope with the heart. And I said this to Tom as well.
Take. Yeah.
As a way to cope with life.
Isn't it odd though that every single civilization of man have some kind of relationship with a god or gods without a single exception? Like, if we invented it as a cope, like, wouldn't one civilization or one society not have done that?
That's a good question.
Right? It's like, because there's so many variances in civilizations and customs and cultures and foods they eat and ways they marry and different relations, but every one of them worships something spiritual, every single one without a single exception.
Yeah, and it's a different thing. It's the same thing. It varies on what the type of God that they...
Yeah, what it is, it varies from culture to culture, but it's always there. So to me, that indicates that that's a feature of but that's
humanity. That's what I'm trying to say is, I mean, there's something that innately in humans, especially as we develop, intelligence and consciousness, like we have to answer. There's questions that we have to answer. I mean, we're dealing with pain. We're dealing with loss. Why
Yeah.
is this happening? Why are people dying? What's going on here? And I think people have, utilized their imaginations and came up with answers. Maybe leaders of
I don't know,
tribes
like
came up with answers to
I don't
comfort.
buy that. Like, because
I mean,
especially when it comes to Jesus Christ, like I look at it as, look, those people witnessed that shit, and they've been talking about it for 2,000
they say
years.
they witnessed it.
They all
say they
lied.
witnessed.
That's a lot of people lying, man.
People. I mean, people will follow whatever is popular, whatever is.
That's not true at all, because the Christians were like a cult that were oppressed for hundreds of years before it became even adopted by the Roman state.
A lot of the
So
stuff.
that's
A
not
lot
true.
of people believe stuff. A lot of stuff is hearsay.
But your logic was that people believe it because it's popular, and I'm telling you, it wasn't popular.
Are you sure? I mean,
Yeah, it was
it
very
became
heretical.
it became
That's
the
why they crucified him, because he was basically undoing the old order.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I mean, that was. I'm talking. I'm actually talking when the church, like when basically when Constantine, was Roman emperor, and why he.
Well, yeah,
you
that
know,
was a fair bit of time afterwards, though.
but it spread by word. I mean, it spread by word of mouth. So
Right.
I mean,
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think it's because there was so much conviction in what they witnessed that they shared it. You know.
I mean, stories are. I mean, stories have power. I mean,
Yeah,
can I
but I
say?
mean, right around
I mean,
the
the
exact
story
same
of
time.
Christ, the story that's told in the scripture, has power to it. I mean, I feel it too whenever I read it. I mean, it's an in it, like I mean, I think that when it comes to things that have been believed, I think it's in our DNA. So because
Well, I'm not saying that.
I react a certain way.
I'm just saying that at the time Christ was crucified, Roman myths were as widely believed, as Judaism. Yet that's all a myth. We don't even talk about that like Roman religion. We talk about it as Roman mythology. Like it's
Yeah.
so dead, no one believes it. Well, there's got to be a reason for that. That can't just be a coincidence. Can't be that those stories went out of vogue. It's like there's something more profound that happened there.
I mean, perhaps.
If I saw a guy come back from the dead after 3 days, I think I'd be pretty moved.
Yeah, I mean, they say he came back from that.
Yeah, that's
Doesn't
what
mean
they
he did.
say. I mean, but this is the leap of faith you have to take. You got to believe it.
Well, I mean, a lot of people can say a lot of things, and I don't like to be misled, and people tend to mislead others.
Yeah, but this is the Lord and creator of all the universe. Like, it's like, he's not gonna
Assuming,
mislead you.
presupposing there is a God.
Yeah, but I never accepted that, I was, like I said, I remained agnostic to that possibility because, like I said, and I think that this is accurate. I don't really think there's a counter argument that even fits. It's that if you are an atheist, like if you're someone who believes there's no God, the key word in that is belief. You believe that. You can't prove that. So you have a belief. You have an anti-belief. It's like, okay, but that's still a belief. You still understand the concept of faith, and you have faith. You just have faith in no God. That's just it's the same thing. So you are confessing that you have the capacity for faith, that you can do that. You can believe in something without seeing the proof of it. Yet, the idea of believing in God or Jesus is like too much for you. It's like, it's the same concept, man. It's just one's more hopeful and actually loves you back.
Yeah, I mean, that. I mean, it's an interesting conversation to have. I mean, I've been more interested lately in like especially the history of Christianity itself. Been taking more of an interest in other religions as well. I find this stuff really fascinating.
It is fascinating, yeah.
So, like I'm not trying. The thing is, I'm stating what I feel to be true, and like I said, my disposition towards authority and what people say and what people do. And it seems like there's a lot of, I think throughout history, people have been misleading others. And I think religion, I hate to quote Carlin, but I think that Carlin might've been onto something. When he said it's bullshit.
I really vehemently disagree because I think the things that you and I would consider ethical morals or like what they call secular moralism or any of that type of stuff that we sort of take for granted as the way you behave in society was
Secular
built.
humanism, probably.
Not secular humanism, just like the things that you and I take for granted every day. When you say hello to the mailman, when you're nice to the person at the store, where you don't steal from your job, where you're a good person. These things that we take.
Well,
for
I take
granted
that.
I take.
Sorry.
Let me just finish the point.
Sorry.
Is that all these things that we take for granted as just sort of this is what a nice person or a good person is? That was built and forged on 2,000 years of European Christian tradition. So it's like these things don't just come out of the ground. Humans are very tribal and very violent by nature, and they're very predatory to outsiders in general. But Christianity taught us a different way and gave us like the opportunity to be neighborly. And now it's not to say there weren't atrocities going on. It's like I'm not saying there's zero hypocrisy in that. But the things that we take for granted, the everyday positivities, the good, the back and forth, the goodness in our culture, that is rooted in like thousands, hundreds and thousands of years of Christian tradition.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Lots of variations in that Christian tradition, lots of disagreements on the nature of God. And
lots of people committing atrocities, while they're coming from a Christian tradition. I'm not denying that it's I'm not saying it's perfect. It sure ain't.
I think Christianity right now has a bit of an identity crisis. There's a lot of people that say, Christ is king. And, I have a few friends that I have different friends of different denominations. And I think one of the most important things is if you're going to be a Christian, be a self-proclaimed Christian, especially online. I mean, you got to exhibit the virtues of, you got to exhibit the 7 virtues. You got to exhibit the fruits of the Spirit, basically. And I don't see a lot of that. I see a lot of abusive rhetoric, a lot of abusive words going on. I follow, there's this one channel called the Council of Trinities where he's a Catholic apologist, and he talks about this very thing. And that's kind of the one issue I have with a certain Nick Fuentes. He's from here. He's from Chicago. He lives in Berwyn, actually. And he's a Catholic. And he knows quite a bit about the Catholic faith. He's talked about it. But his demeanor, his attitude is very different from, maybe it's a Catholic thing. I don't know. He says it's because I'm Italian. It's because I'm Italian that I swear like a sailor or something like that. So perhaps the blaspheme or whatever. But yeah.
No, I'm just messing with bitch.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I'm kind of like, I'm just like I'm just trying to kind of navigate. There's a lot of different ideologies in Christianity. Orthodoxy believes something totally different from evangelicals. Catholics believe something totally different from evangelicals as well, but they disagree on one little thing with the Orthodox, and that's why they split. They split because of the creed. They split because of one line in the creed being different. There was a few other things too, like papal authority and all that, but yeah, who cares?
There was an interesting conversation. Did you ever watch Provoked with Daryl Cooper and Scott Horton?
No.
It's a great podcast, especially about foreign politics. It's Daryl Cooper is the guy who famously has the podcast Martyr Made. He's currently doing a series right now, which I would highly recommend you listening to because I think you'd really dig it, called Enemy. It's essentially about the World War II from the Germans' perspective, and it's absolutely fascinating.
What is it called? Daryl Cooper?
Daryl Cooper, yeah. And he does a podcast with this libertarian, Scott Horton, and they talk a lot of foreign policy, a lot of the war in Iran and all, Israel, Palestine, all that stuff. I mean, it's just, it's another extension of this geopolitical conversation. And they're great at it because they're both brilliant. But one day Scott wasn't there, and he had this other guy on who is a podcaster who is a Orthodox Christian, as you were saying.
Yeah.
And they had this really interesting discussion about the nature of what the Orthodox Christians believe, because I don't know anything about what they believe at all. Like they seemed weird to me. Like my uncle was Ukrainian Orthodox, and I was always like, these guys are crazy. Mass goes on for 3 hours. I don't know what their deal is.
They basically believe a lot of the same stuff the Catholics do. Like, they just have different words for it. Like the Catholics have the 7 sacraments, while the Orthodox have the 7 mysteries. Both believe in transubstantiation, which is basically I don't know if you know about Holy Communion, Christ's body and blood. I think it was from Matthew and Luke.
I did attend, Catholic church sometimes. So.
Okay, so Holy Communion, take, eat. This is my body, which is broken for you for the remission of sins. Drink of this, all of you. This is the wine is basically, this is my blood of the new covenant, which is shed for you and for others for the remission of sins. Amen. Orthodox believe that, and every there's two halves of the divine liturgy, which is every Sunday. They have the first half, which is basically covers whatever the gospel is. It always ends with the gospel. Then you have the homily, and then the second half of the service is basically the communion. It's basically the same. It's almost word for word the same thing every week. The same chants are sang by the choir. The same prayers are said by the priest every week. It's very repetitive. There's very little. The only thing that's varied each week is the homily. The homily, he talks about the homily. The priest will talk about whatever the priest wants to talk about. It's usually about the early church. The Orthodox really like to talk about how they are the early church. They are the original church from pre-Council of Nicaea and all that. And the Roman church would disagree. And what's funny is whenever I'm on X, it's so funny to see people of different denominations interacting with each other and saying the other is wrong. Like there's someone saying there's Catholics telling Protestants or evangelicals on X saying, "Come home to Rome, come home to Rome." Everyone's like, "No, I will not." And
I tend to lean more towards come home to Rome.
The Orthodox are more. The reason why there's, and this is a new one, there's ortho bros. So a lot of young men are being attracted to Orthodoxy is because Orthodoxy doesn't. A lot of the Catholic Church had Vatican II, and you have your dispensationalists that believe that they believe that a certain country, Israel, is still God's people and all that, and the Orthodox do not believe that.
I was under the impression that Catholics aren't dispensationalists.
They are not dispensationalists, but they are very. They are very. They're very against. No, well, part of Vatican II is they are against anti-Semitism, kind of like a certain ADL and all that. So, the Catholic Church now wants to live in harmony with other religions, which makes a little sense to me based on what is taught in Scripture. So, so that's another reason why I have doubts about the religion, about how true Christianity actually is, or if it's just another institution just to maintain power and power over people and all that, and they will flow. They will go wherever the wind blows, basically, and that's kind of how it is. I mean, I don't know if you know, but there's a certain.
Well, that's why your faith is in Christ. Your faith is not in the. It's like you're there to follow a church, but your faith is in Christ.
Yeah, I mean the church is supposed to be the bride to Christ. Christ is the bridegroom, and the church is the bride. And St. Peter was the rock that the church, the base, the foundation that the church would be built on. So, I don't know personally. I mean, there's a branch of Catholics that deny the current popes. Like they don't think the popes are legitimate. They're called I can't remember the word. They use a lot of funny words. Vaticanalists, Vaticalists, and they believe in a Latin mass. So the reason why Latin masses are widely discouraged is because a lot of the people that do these Latin masses do not identify the Pope. They think that the seat of St. Peter is still vacant and all that. So there's this branch that said Vacantalist or something like that. There's this branch that just that is like against what the current church is teaching. So there's a lot of
some pretty woke popes,
Yeah,
two in a row.
Pope Francis. Yeah, Pope Francis and this
Pretty
current
woke,
Pope.
both
This
of
current Pope is from Chicago too. So.
I know. I thought he was from Philly.
Nice. He's originally from Chicago. Then I think I don't know where else maybe he was in Philly at some point, but then he lived in Peru. He served in Peru, and now he's the freaking Pope, to quote Family Guy.
I remember when he got sworn in, and then he went to the Vatican, and he was speaking in Italian. I was like, I wanted to hear the Pope speak English. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, finally, we get one of our own. You know what I mean? He speaks speaking English. You know what I mean? I want to hear it. I want to,
But yeah, so right now I'm kind of like, I don't really know what to believe. That's kind of the root of a lot of it. So, so I'm right now I'm leaning towards the hard fact that there might not be a God. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that there is a God. There is no. I'm not saying I know for sure, because none of us know for sure.
Right.
And if people say they know for sure, I don't believe them. They think I will not say that when people think they do, that they're being disingenuous.
Yeah, I would bet my life.
It's a feeling. It's a feeling.
Yeah, it's more than that, though. I mean, like, it really does develop into a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just saying that to be glib. Like, you really feel the presence of God. You do. You feel his influence. You feel like his guidance. You feel his, judgment. Yeah. You feel it.
I believe for years, and I don't think I've ever felt that. I've read scripture. I wanted to believe as much as I wanted. I wanted to believe. But as life, went on and all that, I just came to realize that might not be the case. Well, and it's a hard thing to think about. I mean, imagine you're on your deathbed, and that's it. You basically shut off for good. I mean, there's the whole idea of an afterlife, I just doesn't make sense to me, too. That's the other thing.
Well, I don't think it's supposed to, right? You're not supposed to understand it, because I think if you understood it, the sacrifices that we make here on Earth wouldn't have the same weight, right? If you knew exactly what was going to happen and you knew exactly how it was going to play out, well, then it's kind of playing video games with cheat codes, right? It's like the point, of following in Christ and being a good person is to do it because it's the right thing to do, not necessarily because it's like you get dangled the rewards at the end, right? Or like you know how to plug and play the code to figure out like the way to light. It's like you have to do that. You got to do it. It's hard, It
is, and there's a lot of people that didn't get that. There's a lot of people that just did not get that benefit. So I mean, there's a lot of people that had an evil uprising, and they had an evil end, and that I mean, I know it's something that every atheist argues, but it's something that you're like, especially with kids, that never get saved, that they never hear the good news. There's never any help on their end, and these are kids. I mean, the Bible says to be like kids, to have that, to not think too much, and to look on God like kids. And as nice as that sounds, I don't know if that's a good thing. So I don't know. Look, I know we kind of got off track here, but that's kind of where I'm at. This is an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
For me. So, I mean, I want to learn more. I want to learn as much as I can. And, yeah, man, I'm happy that you have your faith.
Thanks, man.
I do not want. So here's the thing. Now, I will defend my position, but I do not want other people to to lose their faith. If they have a faith, something that's ingrained in them.
I don't think there's a person on earth that could take my faith. You know what I mean? You'd have to torture
me. Well, I'm not gonna. I'm
just saying, I'm not saying you. I just mean, like, I appreciate the conversation. Like, it's all good. Like, yeah, it's cool.
But this is me basically saying what I'm currently thinking and feeling about the subject, basically. And I know it's religion and faith is a tough subject, because there's people that people believe, and there's people that don't. And one thing that I do not like, especially coming from atheists, is this condescending attitude.
Yeah, I
But
agree with that. I feel you on that, bro.
but
Absolutely.
at the same time, with on the religion side, I feel it's more manipulative, and that's another issue I have. But that's a whole nother can of worms.
You feel that religion is more manipulative?
Religion and preaching and evangelizing, in a way, proselytizing, is a little bit manipulative, in my opinion,
I mean, I think there's definitely a degree of that.
especially with younger people and all that. I watched a video that I would have to this would bring a whole new can of worms for another time. So, but yeah, but that's not always the case. That's just I think that's just with some people, and there's a lot of division in Christianity. There's a lot of people who say they're Christian, and other people are saying they're not Christian, and there's a lot of toxicity. And I'll be honest, Christianity is still the best of all the faiths. Like if I had to pick one, for the sake of what does God Adam say? Hedging his bets, right before he passes, right before he dies of cancer and all that. So, but I mean, the Christianity. I mean, I'd have to learn. I don't know enough. I don't know enough about Islam. Judaism, I could never be part of because I'm not Jewish at all. At least I don't think I am. At least I don't think I am. So, like.
I got a little bit of Jew in me. My great grandmother came over from my great grandmother came over from Hungary, and she was a Jew. She's long dead. Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
Was this
pre-Israel, pre-Holocaust?
Yeah, this was probably the year. I don't know. She probably came over like 1900 or something.
I don't want to make that joke. I don't want to make that Finkelstein joke that everybody's saying now.
Me mom
survived. Me mom survived. My mom died in the Holly. Even though he didn't say that, he said grandma. He said grandma died in the Holly, and or Holocaust.
He does say his mom. Like he refers to his grandmother as his mom.
Yeah.
Speaking
it
of
was
British
so
culture
bad.
and a total curveball. Have you watched Young Sherlock on Prime?
I have not.
I started watching it last night. It's pretty good.
I recently to kind of the way I mean, it's not quite Sherlock, but it's relevant. It's equivalent. It was based off of Sherlock, or Sherlock was the inspiration for this film. I was thinking about The Great Mouse Detective. Remember that movie, Great Mouse Detective?
I remember it, but I don't remember the movie.
Great Mouse Detective is basically Disney, is a late 80s Disney movie, Disney feature film, animated film. Basically the main mouse character, the Great Mouse Detective, is basically a mouse version of Sherlock Holmes. And the villain Ratigan, played by the great, Vincent Price, was based off of Dr. Moriarty.
That's great.
So there's like the final fight at the clock tower, there's a fall, both of them fall, except of course, unlike the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle story, where both Moriarty and Holmes die in the fall because he wanted to stop making stories. He just wanted to kill off the character. Yeah. So the reason why he created Moriarty was because he wanted to kill off Sherlock Holmes, basically. And I thought that was fascinating. I first heard of the character Moriarty from, believe it or not, Star Trek: The Next Generation. There's a holodeck episode where Data plays Sherlock Holmes, and he needs a villain, so he basically has the computer program the hologram of Moriarty, played by Daniel Davis. He was the butler in The Nanny. Remember The Nanny with Fran Drescher?
No, sure, of course. I
same actor
on Fran Drescher. Yeah.
Same actor. And Data has the computer program the hologram to be like on the same intellectual level as Data. So that's kind of where the story begins with this Moriarty character. And they actually brought the character back in season 3 of Picard, and it was extremely disappointing.
Really?
I don't care what anybody says about that season. It was good. I mean, it was good. It was good compared to the other new Trek shows, but as a Star Trek show, it was terrible.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I started watching it because it's Guy Ritchie. you know, of
Yeah.
Snatch and Lock, Stock fame.
I
And,
still haven't seen those. Those are on my list to
wow,
watch. I have not
really?
seen a Guy Ritchie film. I know.
Whoa.
Yes, I know.
Dude,
I know,
those
dude.
are some of the best movies. They're just so
Yeah.
much fun. I would definitely, I would recommend watching Lock, Stock, and then Snatch. Because I saw Snatch first, and I'm so much more partial to it. And I wish I had seen Lock, Stock first because it is so good. But in comparison, Snatch is a better film just because it's more mature. Like the filmmaking technique is more mature. But
Isn't
there's
Brad
so
Pitt
much,
in that one?
He's in that one, yeah.
Okay.
He's great too. He's so.
I remember
good in it.
seeing the TV trailers.
Oh, he's fantastic, dude.
Okay.
So yeah, they're fantastic. But he basically fell off after that. I mean, he made a movie called Rock and Rolla a few years after that, but it sucked. And I actually did a video on my film and television channel, which I don't make videos for anymore, but I was for a little while. And I made a video about a movie I love called Layer Cake, which is directed by Matthew Vaughn. Came out, and
I've heard of that one. I still have
great
not seen
movie.
that.
Fantastic movie.
I know. I know. Nerdrotic has talked about that movie several times.
it
I've been
rules.
meaning to see it.
I love it.
Is
so
that
much.
what made Daniel Craig a
Bond.
star?
Yeah.
I always thought it was Munich that made him a star, but
He
apparently
wasn't in
no.
Munich. He was in.
He was in
no.
Munich. Daniel
Is
Craig.
he?
Yeah.
I thought it's Eric Bana. Is he
Eric
like a
Bana.
bad guy?
Yeah. No. Daniel Craig was a supporting character. Yeah. Eric Bana was still the main character, but
Oh, I
Daniel
didn't
Craig was
know
one of
that.
his guys.
I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, then maybe. But I understand it. Layer Cake is what got him Bond. Because he was so sophisticated. It's such a great movie. But anyway, so yeah, so there was a movie called Layer Cake. And like I said, I did a video on it. Go check that out, folks. On Foulball, film and television. So then Guy Ritchie does a movie called Rock and Rolla, and he rips off Layer Cake, like the ending, especially. Like there's like this very consequential ending that Guy Ritchie ripped off from Layer Cake, and Guy Ritchie was supposed to direct Layer Cake, and he didn't want to do it. And you're like, so you just stole from your friend, your producer friend, Matthew Vaughn, who you made Lock, Stock, and Snatch with, and shoehorned it into your fucking shitty movie? I was like, man, this guy stinks.
What's
what's
Layer Cake about, by the way? What kind of movie
It's
is that?
about a mid-level cocaine dealer who, like in between like distributors, like the top, and then like street level. He's like in the middle. He kind of distributes like
So like a crime, so kind of like a crime drama, basically.
it's crime drama, British crime
Okay.
drama, yeah. And
All
so
right.
he ends up like he's just this guy and he wants to get out, and right before he can get out, his like boss, his big connect, asks him to look after to find this missing person. And he's like, I don't do this. And he's like, sometimes you have to do what's, above and beyond the call of duty. It's called sacrifice, son. And so he's got to go do this. And the whole thing unravels. And it has to do with these pills that these like Serbians were importing. And it's not, Serbians. Yeah. And it's just such a sick movie. And it's like this sprawling crime drama. But so basically the point is Guy Ritchie lost his way. He did those Robert Downey Jr., Sherlock Holmes movies, and they were, I don't know, I had no interest in them, and just a bunch of shit, a bunch of crap. He dated Madonna for a while and directed her music videos, and he just seemed to really get up his own ass. And then he did a movie called The Gentleman about, I want to say like 6-7 years ago, that was okay. He did another movie with Jason Statham that was awful. Like truly bad. You're so stupid and lazy. But something must have changed, man, because he has had such a remarkable return to form. He did The Gentleman on Netflix. He did Mobland on Paramount Plus, and those are both excellent, excellent shows. And now he's doing the Young Sherlock, or he released the Young Sherlock on Prime. And so I started watching it last night. I didn't even watch the whole episode. It was getting late. I had to go to sleep. But it was, from what I saw, I was like, this is pretty good, man. This has got like, British style and snap and pizzazz. And it takes place in like 1890.
So it takes place at the time of the Arthur Conan Doyle stories.
Yeah.
Okay, that's actually really good.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's cool. It's fun. Like, and they introduced Moriarty very early on, and he's this Irish guy, obviously. But it's just like he's very slick, and it's good. Like it has like a lot of charm. It's very fun. I'm like looking forward to watching more of it.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't read any. I've only read one of the short stories.
I've never read any of it.
Yeah, we had to read the Case of the Speckled Band. It was one of the Sherlock Holmes stories. So yeah, that was the one with the apparently the killer uses a snake to kill people. Basically, if I
Okay.
remember correctly,
Yeah.
I haven't read
Like
in
the
a while. So
assassins in Episode 2 of Star Wars, like with
mhm,
those
yep,
worm things.
yeah, that's probably where they got. That's probably
They
where they got
probably
the
where he got it
idea.
from.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of wonder where Lucas got a lot of his ideas from. And if you've
It's
ever
like
seen,
poetry. It's
if you've
poetry.
if you've yeah, if you ever seen like there's a video of him there's a video of him. This is 1994. He's like, "Hey everyone, I'm about to start typing the first draft of the new Star Wars." The new Star Wars trilogy I'm going to make, and then the camera shows his bookshelf, and his bookshelf has like he has like all of the classic science fiction books in his shelf. He's got like all the Dunes. He's got the Lensman, and I was like, okay, so that's where he got the idea for the Jedi Order and why the Jedi are the guardians of peace. He got that from the Lensman. The Lensmen also were the ones that basically their idea was stolen by DC, and they made the Green Lantern Corps basically. So that's where they stole it from the Lensman. And there was years later there was an anime in the 80s that tried to adapt the Lensman, and that the original author's family hated it so much because it had nothing to do with his books. So whatever.
Can I step away to grab a drink real quick? Will you?
Yeah, sure.
For just a minute or so.
Yeah,
I'll be right
yeah,
back.
sure.
Right.
Oh man, I'm running out of. What's up, Steve? What's up, Prophet? Vigilante, pray on it. Go on your journey and see what happens. Okay, I have not prayed in years, nor will I pretend to pray. To quote the mamas and the papas, basically. So, I've been meaning. I do want to go to if there's anything. I do want to check out a Latin mass, like a Latin mass and all that, because it's got that otherworldliness that I like. I like it when I hear it in fantasy. I like it. I usually like it. So maybe I could redevelop my faith that way. I don't know. So we'll see. But yeah, how you doing, Steve? How's work? It's a shame you haven't seen the movie yet. You haven't seen Project Hail Mary. It's a great movie. It's a movie that I feel is displaced in time. Like it doesn't belong in this decade at all. It belongs in like the 80s. That's how feel good that movie was. It belongs
in a museum.
It does. Sorry. It totally does. So I figured, we barely talked about politics. So maybe that'll be next time.
Next time.
But I'll just say this: Iran. So just really quickly, I am disappointed in this administration. I am disappointed that we are at war because there was no. The reason why I brought up Iraq earlier was how pissed off I was that our country went to war with somebody that we didn't really need to go to war with. This wasn't the Gulf War. This was just us. This was just, according to Mr. Buchanan, Patrick Buchanan, they went to war because basically people like Richard Pearl and whoever was pro-Israel basically
David
said,
Wurmser.
yeah, if you don't freaking go and do this, then you are going to look weak, and you're going to look like you are unserious about about fighting terrorism, because he went on, you remember, but if you're too young you might not remember,
I was your
but
age, brother.
but you and I are the same age. Right after 9/11 happened, Bush basically took a passage out of the Bible, out of the New Testament, and he basically said, if you're not with us, you're against us.
Yeah,
which is
exactly
something Christ said, and then years later, all the Zoomers like, wait a minute, Anakin said that. Anakin said, if you're not with me, you're my enemy. Well, when I heard that, when I first saw Star Wars Revenge of the Sith,
and I remember when Bush said, from my point of view, the Iraqis are evil.
Well, then you are lost, But what's funny was when I saw that movie, when I first saw Revenge of the Sith in theaters, and when Anakin said that, I knew exactly what he was referencing, because I still remember Bush's speech.
Yeah.
Bush addressing the nation. Everybody was on board. This was probably the one time that Democrats, everybody was on board. Heck, even I was on board. and then Iraq happened, and I wasn't on board, and I voted for. I voted. I regret my first vote. My first vote ever, 2004, was for John Kerry. And now that I think about it, that was not good. That was what I should. That's what I think I should have done. I should not have voted in that election. Personally,
I just was disillusioned. I was such a conservative in high school. I was so pro Bush. I was like really into it. I used to listen to Sean Hannity and Michael Savage.
Yeah,
I was like a real staunch conservative back then, and I really believed in the Bush administration. I believe in what those guys were saying. Like I found actually I got into it in a weird way. So I worked at this ice cream store. And it was like one of my high school jobs, and I was just listening to the owner would always have Sean Hannity, and then Michael Savage would come on, and I'm just sitting there working, I'm listening, and I'm like, yeah, fucking hell yeah! Like I used to look forward to it, so I would listen, and I liked Hannity, but I thought Savage was the best. Like he would go so hard. I was like, this guy, he wasn't messing around. This guy was like no joke. So I believed in all of it, and I remember listening to like Michael Savage like talking about how all these anti-war protesters and like what lib pieces of shit they are un-American. And I was like, yeah, fuck those guys. I was like all gung ho, and then like once the war kicked off and it was bad, like I even remember watching, like, remember they had the first night, they broadcast the first night, and like you see the bombs going off in Baghdad. I remember being like, whoa, this is real, because it's like we're all talking about it. There's all this rhetoric around it and the terrorists and 9/11 and Saddam and weapons of mass destruction. But when it actually happened, it was like, whoa, this is serious. It was like, this is real. And the war went so poorly. All the projections of us just being in and out and decapitating didn't work. And it went on and on for so long. I became extremely liberal because of this war. Like, that was a big reason. I was an Obama supporter in 08. I campaigned for him. I was like very active about it because I used to watch all these I watched this Iraq war documentary, man. It's heartbreaking, and you see like inside like the absolute chaos that Iraq had become and is still, but just the absolute destruction of these palaces, these old museums, like ancient culture just being looted and destroyed because there's just no infrastructure, there's no police. And it's heartbreaking, and it was such a soul sickness. And it's funny. I was thinking about doing a video about this because the Gen Z guys are very disillusioned, with the future.
Yes.
And a lot of people think that our generation somehow was optimistic. And I don't remember any of that. I remember our generation was very characterized by deep cynicism, because we had the Iraq War. It went so bad. Then we had like the financial crisis, the financial collapse. Just a few years after that, I felt like that's where Occupy Wall Street came out of. I don't remember us having any optimism for the future. Certainly not.
I was always
cute as the guys have now, but I don't remember being optimistic.
I was called a pessimist. I was called a cynical by friends. I've had I didn't have a lot of friends, but when I did have friends, a lot of my friends were more blue pilled, I guess. I didn't know blue pill, red pill was a thing. I did see the Matrix movies. Like, I saw the first Matrix movie right before the sequels came out when I was in high school. So I didn't realize how my attitude based on just like how I got along with people. I didn't know how to get along with people. I came from a family that we never really had people over. So a lot of my time was spent by myself. I would play video games, or I would do homework or something, or Little League. And that was pretty much it. Like, I didn't really hang out with friends. So I did go to church, but that was like, I saw them once a week, and it was, Sunday school, but it wasn't really that deep and all that. So I didn't really learn how to get along with people. So I made like every mistake in the book, and that made me a little red pilled as a result. And I made friends after the fact, but I still carried that cynicism with me, and my friends picked up on it, and they would tell me, you can't be cynical. and I would get lectured, and that would piss me off. I mean, I'm willing to listen to people, but I didn't like it when people tried to lecture me on stuff that they didn't truly know what I was going through. So
Sure.
because they didn't go through the same thing. They had friends. They mischaracterized what I felt like they mischaracterized what I went through. But I still, even that, I didn't let that get in the way of friendships, and we just kind of naturally drifted. A lot of us just naturally drifted apart. And it's just kind of how it is and I've learned that everyone kind of goes through that. But
yeah, it's true.
But I was like that for a long time myself. I was cynical, and then when I graduated, I was struggling with college. I was lonely. I didn't have a whole lot like in the movie. Like I didn't have a whole lot of motivation. I had to really push myself to finish college and all that. And then by the time I graduated, like I tried to work. I tried to work for the man, and I tried to do everything what I thought was right, and it ended up not being right. And I ended up going through several jobs. Through several jobs, which is very demoralizing.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, I mean, I did live on my own for a little bit. I mean, I'm living at home now, but when I a few years out of college, I lived in for my first. It took me a couple of years to get a job. So everything Gen Z is going through right now, I went through something similar. Like I couldn't find a job right away. I graduated. I had a bachelor's degree in engineering. I couldn't find a job right away in engineering. I did warehouse work for $14 an hour back in 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
So. And it wasn't until I finally found a job in Central Illinois, so I moved 3 hours away to start working, and and that was when rent was like $800 a month.
Wow, the good old days.
Yeah, heck, I lived in Iowa at one point too. $650 for rent for a single bedroom.
I mean, I bet if I went and lived out in the country in Austin or in Texas, I could probably find some pretty cheap rent. But then I'd have to live out in the country in Texas.
Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah, you say you live in Austin. How much is the rent out in Austin? It's here in Chicago. It's like here in Chicago, like a studio is like $1,400.
Yeah, I mean it's better here. I have a pretty big place. It's about 2,000. But it's not a great location. Like I like it because it's quiet. I have a park right there. There's a golf course I go and play golf at. But it's like a very Hispanic neighborhood. It wasn't actually always like that. That kind of changed since I've lived here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the best location. I actually am moving in a few months. I'm moving to a different place where I could kind of pay a different rent. But and it's like it's more suburban. Like I'm a homebody, man. Like I used to when I first moved here, I was going out a lot, I was partying a lot, but I don't really go out much anymore. Like I play golf with my buddy Connor. I have a girl, and that's kind of it. Like I don't I go out more like go out for the daytime. Doing types of just. I don't know. Yeah, I'm boring. Like I'm old. I'm 40. I'm gonna be 41. Like now it's like I play golf. I play video games.
You don't look 41.
I know 40. It's crazy, man. I don't. It's funny. I was actually talking about like old friends or people that we don't really talk with anymore. Like I had a buddy growing up in high school. This guy Scott, and I saw a picture of him, and I was like, "Holy shit, man! He looks exactly the same." Because I don't go on Facebook anymore. I don't know about you, but I haven't gone on Facebook in years.
Facebook is for like old people now. Yeah. So like I like it when Zoomers, Gen Zers like describe Facebook as being for like 90-year-olds. It's true though.
It is though. Every time I go on Facebook and people are still posting stuff, I'm like blown away. I'm like, you guys are still here?
It's all fake. It's bots and fakes. It's fake shit now. There's very few people.
It's all like. It's the worst political discourse on the internet. Like it's just boomer politics or just chud politics. That's all you get. You get boomers and chuds, and or libs, and it's just like, oh.
So what exactly is a chud? Is a chud just basically an idiot?
So the libs use chud as kind of a pejorative for MAGAs, for people who supported Trump. Yeah, but I use it more as like the boilerplate MAGA guys, like who are just like transports, You know what I mean? They don't have any like you know, I empathize with a lot of their points, but they have no nuance. You know, they just have really blunt opinions that are just like, you know, MAGA, and they still think the adults are in charge. They still think the Trump administration's going great. You know, they still think we're getting deportations. Like chuds, just, you know, low IQ, right wing. You know, just Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a great term. It's one of the few things the left's ever come up with that's actually like clever, you know, in the political discourse that's like sharp. Like generally their memes suck. Their slams are just repackaged right-wing slams, you know, like I see this all the time. People call me Snowflake and the safe space. And I'm like, those were right-wing slams for the left. You can't just be like, oh, you care about your safe space? Like no one on the right ever asked for a safe space. That was you. That was academia. That was the left-wing ecosphere. You can't act like we are the ones who need to be protected. That was your concept.
Yeah,
they do that
projection.
Yeah,
that's pure projection.
Pure projection. They call us snowflakes. It's like, this was our attack on you, idiots.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of. I mean, my family was Democrat. I was Democrat for a long time. And
my family's still Democrat, but I'm slowly, brick by brick, red pilling my mom. She's getting so much better. She actually listens to me now that I don't like Trump. She can actually listen.
That's probably the same here. I started I started noticing a lot of red flags throughout the years, but the first red flag, I wanted to bring this up earlier. When I was in high school, 2000, when Bush and Gore were, you know, duking it out and all that.
Hanging chads.
I remember we had like something equivalent to a pep rally, but for like, it was a debate instead. And all the I was in the knowledgeable group. I was in the knowledgeable club in high school, so I knew everybody. I knew all like the smartest kids, you know, the ones that like, you know, knew the most about history, knew the most about politics and all that. And all of the ones that I knew who were like, you know, were the smartest, the ones that got the best grades, the most intelligent. They were Bush supporters, and I found that very interesting. And then all the idiots were the Gore supporters. And I remember everybody was cheering for the popular dude who was on the basketball team, was like, "Hey, Gore," and then everybody cheered. And then when the one Indian dude that was in the Knowledge Bowl with me, we called it Scholastic Bowl back then, tried to, you know, bring up, you know, intelligent positions about why Bush is the better candidate. Everybody booed him, and
Sanjesh. No one cares.
And I like the guy.
The guy, Slurpee, dickhead.
I like the guy. The guy was a nice guy, really smart dude. And that's the first time I was like, okay, maybe I'm not in the right here. And I don't mean the right, but I mean in my position. And then I started noticing when I was in college, you know, there were people that were giving out like flyers to protest stuff. And I think I would try going to one of these protests, and the people were like extremely weird and extremely like people, like the type of people you didn't really like. I knew the type of people to be around and the type of people not to be around. And I was like, nope, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing any protests. These type of people are not. Because I thought it would be funny, cool, say stick it to the man, all that, and make friends along the way.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't like that. I did not. I did not smell anything good from these people. So I stayed away from anything activist related.
Well,
so
I think that was like the Occupy Wall Street people. It was like that, because I remember hearing about that, because I went to college and I studied sociology, and I remember learning about the 1% back then. You know, it was like part of our college curriculum. It was just one of these facts, you know. And look, it's sociology is socialism light. I mean, it basically is trying to form a narrative. But there were some interesting facts, and there's some interesting, you know, details about the way the country and the world works. I think that's fine. It's just like they always try to, you know, they basically want gay race communism, right? By the way, do you know Verillium? Do you know him?
Sounds familiar.
He's a YouTuber. I think he does great stuff, and he did a thing today on Hassan that was so fucking good. It was so like enlightening. You know, it was really articulate as to exactly what it is that, like, what third worldism is, like what Hassan believes. It was really, really good. It was his smart video. Anyway, sorry, that's an aside. But it was, so basically just back. It was like the Occupy Wall Street stuff I thought was really sharp, and like they were really getting at the heart of something, which is that like we're run by this like this unfeeling, you know, reptilian elite. Not they're literally reptilian, but just in the way they behave. And everybody kind of united around this thing of just being like, it's us against you. Fuck you. You guys destroyed the economy. You got us in the war. You guys are bad. Little did we know what that really meant. But at the time, you know, that's how we felt. And there was a really good movement underneath it of smart people, I thought. But then it was just like you said, it was like all the activisty people. You're like, oh, like these crusty leftists, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was just, there was just something about them that just didn't. I didn't feel safe.
Yes,
around them.
Dude,
there was something.
legit.
There was something. Yeah, there was something
it's
about
like their
that.
eyes bounce around their head, inside their head, or something. Like there's something wrong about these people.
And then years later, and then here's the thing: years later, and this is where I was going with this. Was when now this was years after I graduated college. This was a year a certain billionaire was running for president, and I went to UIC in Chicago, and he was supposed to speak at UIC, probably at the pavilion. And I saw, when I was in college, Obama himself came to the pavilion, and I actually. Yep, I remember we had a few hecklers there, and Obama was trying to get them to, reasonably try to get them to be quiet. I'm trying to speak. I'm trying to speak.
Really?
Yeah,
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, there were some activists that just kept chanting, the weirdos, the same type of weirdos that you see in all these videos now with all these protests. It was cut from the same cloth, basically.
Yeah, sure.
Same type of people. They don't listen. They disrupt.
The disruptors,
and they're kids. They're stupid kids, basically. Kids that need to be spanked, basically. And what's weird is this was happening to Obama, and then years later, Obama is supporting people like this. But that's beside the point.
Mean, yeah.
But one thing I noticed was, and this was something that, now I still was Democrat. This didn't totally bust me loose. But it was something that made me even more concerned. Was one of those moments where I was like, that scene, I forget what movie it is, but it's that where the Nazis like, are we the baddies? I had a moment like that where I started noticing other Democrats who were protesting Trump speaking at the UIC's pavilion by being violent and by causing violence and all that. And there was a mini riot, and wow. I heard about that. I'm like, what are these people doing? I mean, you could peacefully protest, raise some signs, have meaningful conversations with people, try to tell them, your position. And from what I saw, it wasn't like that at all.
Mm.
And then there ended up being like a bit of a fight between them and Trump supporters, and Trump supporters were always the ones that were being put down. And the thing is, as a person that's been, I've been made fun of, I've been humiliated. There were so many times where people have sided with others against me on things. So I know what it's like to be on the receiving end of something. I couldn't see myself, being a part of something like that. So that's why, like, whenever I see people being, like, being attacked or persecuted or something like that, I usually will never side with the mob on something like that. And I'm seeing people on my side, acting like a mob, demonizing people undeservedly, and that's kind of where I started to connect with other Trump supporters. And then I think, what broke the camel's back, and I think it was for most of us, was a certain thing that came from China in 2020.
Yeah. Well,
and then seeing that behavior, then that kind of,
I can say for myself, like, I personally didn't believe that Trump was a real candidate. I firmly believed Trump was an op by the Clintons to get a like. Do you ever see the movie The Producers?
Oh, with Gene Wilder and Zero Mostel.
Yeah. Where they try to make the worst musical possible.
Yeah.
I thought that was what they were trying to do with Trump. I thought they were trying to create like a piñata they could just knock over, and then they would just waltz Clinton into the office. I never believed it was real. Then when he won, I was just like, first of all, shocked. I was like, wow, literally anyone can be president. Oh my God.
Yeah, same here. I was, even though I still had those misgivings of what happened to Trump during early 2016 with the whole UIC thing. I still believed everybody. I still believed, I used to watch Bill Maher all the time. So I believed Bill Maher. I believed everybody was saying that this guy was bad news.
Yeah.
Everybody. Heck, other Republicans. I mean,
oh yeah,
freaking Dick Cheney, all the
everybody.
neocons, they
Jeb
all
Bush,
hated him.
They all hated him because he was saying what he said in this past election cycle, which is America First policy, which is not something the neocons want, not something the establishment wants. It's not what the machine wants. It's literally does not serve their interest to be America First. So it's like, this guy's a problem. He's the Republican. This guy's talking about, it's like this not centrism, but serving the needs of the actual Americans, So anyway, I found myself excited that he won, and I found myself falling in to liking Trump, and it was in the background, but I was like, oh, this guy might actually be fucking somebody. And then I just remember because I wasn't as politically active at the time because I was more focusing on my acting career and entertainment and all that. But I do just remember just the unbelievable hate and negativity this guy received no matter what. Literally, no matter what he said, no matter what he did, there was this irrational resentment to him. And right around the same, well, I don't know if it was around the same time. It was probably just before that. It was the race stuff, the race communism, the white privilege, all those things started to really raise their heads in California. Because I remember, everyone says everything changed in 2016. And while that's true, it was bubbling under the surface before that. It wasn't the Trump election. There was something going on with the left, because I went from New York being an Obama lib, and then being disillusioned with his presidency, moving to California in 2011 and meeting these people and being like, whoa, you guys are crazy. This is way different than what I think. And they ended up that contributed to pushing me back to being a conservative, because I was like, this is fucking nuts. What is all this stuff?
Give them an inch, they take a mile.
Well, it just morphed. It wasn't about ending the war and getting health care for people. It was about white privilege and white supremacy and this sort of race realism and
all that. I mean, all that happened because of all these controversies that happened over during the Obama presidency. Remember Trayvon Martin? Remember what Obama said?
I do.
Trayvon Martin could have been my son. I could have been Trayvon Martin.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you don't know the full story of what went down between him and George Zimmerman. So
it's when,
and even I who was still voting, I was still a Democrat. I was like, why is this a thing? What's going on here? I didn't understand what the hell was going on.
And people legitimately refused to give Zimmerman the credit of maybe he's telling the truth. Maybe he isn't. But we don't know that. You guys already have the narrative in your head that this, and by the way, not a white guy. They tried to pretend that he was white because he had
he was Hispanic.
He's Hispanic, but they try to call him a Hispanic white male or something like that. But they had this whole narrative in their head ready to go that this was white racism, and being contrary to that narrative was some heretical point of view. And I was like, we genuinely don't know what happened. None of us were there. It's the guy did have bruises and cuts on his face. He did get punched.
Yeah.
So who knows what the fuck happened? Well, I wasn't there.
Yeah, there was an altercation according to him. So
but that's when I remember things really started to depart. That's what I remember. That was one of those inciting incidences when I think was that when BLM started? Was it Trayvon?
Trayvon, or either that or Ferguson. That was another. That was
Yeah.
another one where there was the police brutality and all that.
Body
they,
cams are the best thing that ever happened to like policing in American history. Like,
yeah,
thank
I mean,
God, thank you so much for BLM
this
for
is
doing
what
that.
yeah, this is what happens. I mean, when you fail to follow police instructions, you are going to not come out on top. I'll say
Bro,
without
almost
being.
all of those cases are literally if you just complied, you'd be alive.
Yes, and I mean, and then of course Ferguson. I forget there was a few others, but then
There's Mike Brown. It was the
Mike
Ferguson
Brown,
one. Yeah.
and then of course the one that the
Who's the
king
guy
of
in
them
Staten
all.
Island?
I forget.
St. Floyd.
The king of them all. Yes, the George Floyd, and then that led to a whole bunch of other ones.
That was
And
insane.
yeah, and this is just like what is this? And like even with Ferguson, like they say white supremacy. There was only one white cop, I think, and then there was like a black cop and a Hispanic cop, I think. I could be wrong though. But that's how George Floyd was. There was a black cop, there was an Asian cop, and I think there was two white cops, and of course, the main cop was I forgot his name.
I don't remember. Oh, the guy who's in jail?
Yeah, the guys. Well, I think they're all in jail, aren't they? All four of them.
I don't actually remember.
I can't think of his name. But yeah,
saying about Zimmerman, he's saying he was following him unnecessarily. I don't know the Sandra Bland part, but Zimmerman. Okay, the thing is, like, Zimmerman could have been a murderous piece of shit. Like it's regardless of the facts. The thing is, like, what ended up coming out of that was this narrative, right? Like that's where this racism. It was like the old Rodney King resentment and hatred had like rebirthed. It had come back to life, and it was this race struggle again in a way that I don't think I'd seen in my life up until that point, in such a vitriolic way. And then it would be all these high profile cases, like every few months, there would be some shooting. And like, almost all of them, the guy had had like, 30 arrests before the shooting happened. And eventually, you'd find out that the guy, like Mike Brown, like attacked the cop, like punched him in the face, did a strong arm robbery, a few hours before that. And none of that ended up mattering. None of that was part of it didn't matter. It was a black guy got killed by a white cop, and it was all that mattered. And it got fucking nuts.
So I'm looking at like George Zimmerman's thing. Apparently, a lot more shit happened to him after this. So,
yeah, I remember that. He's not a good dude.
No. So that's kind of why that's part of the reason why I was like,
he can not be a good dude, and also like that wasn't about that wasn't about systemic white racism too.
Like it's saying he's got lawsuits. The Martin family was suing him. He was stalking people. He got into a bar fight, said a racial slur. Scandals left and right. He painted a Confederate battle flag. Apparently, I don't know. So there's So I mean, these are the type of people I do not want to ever, like, I never really want. How they say, you are who you associate with. I've always paid attention, and I still do, to people's character, to how people behave and all that.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that people are naturally good, that we're all egalitarian, as leftist as that sounds. But it's definitely not true. And I've been disappointed and burned several times to think otherwise. So, but yeah, so we're approaching the 2-hour mark, and we still have to talk about freaking Hail Mary. So I love that movie. You said you saw it. What'd you think?
I loved it more than I even thought, like I expected I could have.
Yeah.
And even after it started, I was kind of like, I don't know that I'm into this. Like, I thought there were some jokes in the opening thing that I was just kind of like.
It was Lord. Yeah, that was very Lord and Miller. Like, I think that was one of the issues. So, Lord and Miller were originally supposed to direct the Han Solo movie.
Oh, is that the guy?
Yeah, two guys actually. Yeah,
Oh,
Phil Lord and Christopher Miller.
I
They
didn't know that.
they were originally were to direct the Han Solo movie, and they ended up getting fired because of the fact that they used humor and all that.
Hmm.
I'm guessing. I guess you could. I don't know if you would call it Marvel humor.
They were probably trying to tell a good story, and Kathleen Kennedy didn't want that.
Yeah, probably. And now that I see this Hail Mary movie, you probably would disagree with me, but I think Lord and Miller probably would have made the better movie between them and Ron Howard. And I love Ron
Yeah.
Howard. I mean, Ron Howard directed a lot of. I mean, Ron Howard and Rob Reiner are two of the best directors of the. Are two of the best directors of the '80s. Well, not quite like A tier like Steven Spielberg and Stanley Kubrick, but they're up there. And their stuff is really good. I mean, if you ever seen Cocoon, for instance,
Sure, Cocoon's a great movie. I like his later stuff. I love Cinderella Man. I think is a fantastic movie.
I still have not seen that one.
Oh,
Cinderella Man.
masterpiece, dude. So good.
I keep getting Cinderella Man and $1 Million Baby.
$1 Million Baby sucks. No, that's gay.
Clint
That's
Eastwood, a Clint Eastwood directed
It's
movie
Hollywood
sucks.
gay
Really,
shit. It was just it's you know what it really is, and it's crazy to say this is a Clint Eastwood thing, but it's literally just 2 hours to make a statement about euthanasia. It's a fucking shit.
really.
I hate it.
Okay.
But no, but he did that. He did Ford versus Ferrari, not Ford versus Ferrari. Rush, a movie called Rush that I adore. It's with Chris Hemsworth, and it's about these two F1 racers. Masterpiece movie. He did. Ron Howard did Apollo 13. Which is a fantastic movie.
I forgot about Apollo 13.
Yeah. Ron Howard's great. No,
every time you see his brother. Every time you see his brother in a movie, you're like, okay, this must be a Ron Howard movie. Then.
Yeah, Clint Howard, and his daughter's got a big fat butt, so that's good too.
Who? Bryce, yeah. Bryce Dallas.
Yeah. No, but dude, I mean, seriously, like at first I was like, nah, maybe I won't like this because I read the book. I read the book a few years ago on a recommendation on a friend. And I liked the book. I didn't love it, but I liked the book. So I was like, oh, okay, that would be good. Dude, it was spectacular.
Yes.
It was so good. Like, it was so compelling. It was sweet. You know, it had great stakes. It was well adapted. It looked amazing. At first I wasn't crazy about some of the stylistic filmmaking choices because there was a lot of cuts. And there was some really interesting, odd camera placement. Like, you'd only see him in like maybe the middle of the frame, and there'd be like the bars of like a spaceship or something like in front of it. Like, it was very odd, and the camera would like move in weird ways. It was a very unique cinematography style, and I wasn't really vibing with it right away, and I really wasn't vibing with the tone. But once I dropped in, bro, that movie, it's one of the. I can't remember the last time I've been to the theater and seen a movie that I thought was that great. It has been like I don't remember the last time I went to the theater and saw a movie that I loved that much.
I haven't seen a buddy movie. Like, I have not seen a good buddy movie in a long time where I really cared about both characters. You have Ryan Gosling's character, and he's a flawed guy, and he changes throughout the movie. I mean, this thing called a character arc, which is something a lot of modern filmmakers kind of forgot about. Is something that people like to see. We like to see characters change, and usually change for the better. This was a very positive movie. Like, the movie ends. I have not had this in a while, but like the movie ended, and I had this big smile on my face. Like, it was everything that I wanted to see. I loved Rocky.
Rocky was great.
Rocky was awesome. He's just a rock spider, dude. He doesn't even have a face. But
I know.
But he's like, hey, fist my bump. Fist my bump.
They gave him so much character, man. Like,
yes.
And I remember liking him in the book, but I loved him in the movie. Like, that book lent itself so much better to cinema than typically it's the other way around. But because I read the book, and the book's great, and it was good, and it's entertaining. And I remember that story where they're trying to, I don't want to spoil it, I don't know if everyone's seen it, but where they're trying to do the big thing with the chain.
Yes.
And I remember reading that in the book and being I was anxious, you know, it created anxiety in me because it was like a great action scene. But the visuals that they put into this movie, I was like, wow. It put it on such a different level. And having Rocky, like it was so good in a way that like it was like, oh my God, that's right. You guys can make good movies.
Yes.
Like I forgot. I've been so divorced from Hollywood that I don't even think of them as being able to create anything good. And you're like, oh my God, that's right. You guys used to do this.
Yes.
This used to happen like a few times a year. You'd find something like amazing that was so entertaining that you just loved and you were happy. You know, you didn't mind that the popcorn, you know, gave you diarrhea and the price of the ticket was so expensive. You just had a ball.
Yes.
At the movies, and this was one of those experiences. It was so great.
And I mean, this is not a franchise film. This was something that was just its own thing.
Yeah.
And this is something I want to see more of. Like, I kind of want to see. I want if Hollywood is to survive, I want them to kind of, you know, go back to the drawing board, go back to the basics of what they used to be, and just make films based off of, you know, excellent works, whether it be books or plays or maybe some comics, you know. But I'm like the superhero stuff, I think I mean, will it ever go away? Probably not, but it's gonna get less than I am totally divorced myself from Marvel, from DC, unless it's something I really like. And at this point they just keep making more and more stuff. Yeah, like I mean, the only thing that I watched Marvel wise was Spider-Man No Way Home. And Spider-Man No Way Home, it took them bringing back old villains to make it feel like there were any stakes involved, because the only time I felt stakes in an MCU film was Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Winter Soldier, and that was based, I mean, you have freaking Robert Redford as the villain. If you have Robert Redford as the villain, you know they're going to go with the 70s type of, you know, paranoia type of thing with Hydra. I mean, it was basically like a 70s political thriller with Robert Redford. You have that, and then Infinity War was the other one. Infinity War was their asses kicked by.
Infinity War was great.
Yeah, it was the one movie where they were all getting their asses kicked by these by Thanos and his goons. His goons were kicking everybody's butt.
Infinity War was so good. You know, I wasn't even like all in on the MCU. Like I would watch like MCU films, but like I wasn't like you know, all that into it. You know, I didn't like track them all and watch them all or whatever. But when I watched Infinity War, I was like, holy shit, that was incredible. I watched it on a plane, and I was like, that was amazing.
Yeah, and then the way that movie ended, just with, you know, Thanos being on the planet, being at peace and all that, was just so crazy. And then Endgame came out, and Endgame just ruined it. Oh, all of a sudden Captain Marvel comes in, kills him, and I'm like, what is this? And then they use time travel. I'm like, no.
It was so boring. I didn't like it. I had such high expectations, and I remember I went to the theater with this girl, and we played like the Avengers music like on the way over. You know, like we were all pumped, and it was so, I don't know, mid. I did cry when Tony died, but
yeah,
the movie was mid. I was like, that wasn't great. Like, I don't know, that didn't feel like a solid follow up to the last one, which was so damn good.
Yeah, I'll never like the moment I saw like the one shot with all the women side by side fighting. I was like, oh my! I'm like, I knew exactly I knew exactly what that meant.
Yeah,
I knew exactly what that meant. I knew exactly what the future was, and I was like, okay, I think I'm done after this.
Yeah, that was a good instinct. I mean, I don't think I watched much after that because I didn't like that one, and I remember everyone was jizzing all over it, and I was like, I don't know, I thought that kind of sucked.
Yeah, let's re-release it in theaters so we can beat, you know, Avatar as the highest grossing film of all time.
Yeah,
whatever.
Like it was so lame. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't really love it, but I guess it was a little easier for me to get over like the fall of Marvel because I didn't have as much invested in it. But the fall of Star Wars, actually, it still hurts. Like I still get upset about it because that was the thing that I loved more than any of those franchises. And you know, when I was a kid, I'd rewatch the original 3 like over and over just because I loved them. I played the video games. I had toys. I had Legos. I loved that shit. And I still get like a fucking dark feeling when I think about the prequels, when I think about what they did to Luke. And I know this is the most overly trodden ground, but for me,
I forget
I don't even get that much joy in the hate videos that YouTubers do because I still find it upsetting.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I forget, did you say you were out with The Last Jedi, or did you actually see The Rise of Skywalker?
I never saw Last Jedi. I was out at Force Awakens. I saw it in the theater, and I was like, "This sucks. Like, this is a girl boss bullshit. She has no character arc. She can do everything. She beats the bad guy before." I'm just like, "What is?" I hated it.
She beat Kylo Ren without ever using a lightsaber, and so I thought, okay, maybe, I still did not like it. I hated how Han Solo went, because now if I watch a movie if I watch Han Solo, I'm like he survives all this just to get murdered by his son.
Just to get murdered by his own son. Even all that story, I hated the setting. I didn't even like the fact that there was this new empire. I was like, this isn't an interesting continuation of the story.
And they didn't really. I mean, you had the Chuck Wendig book, was it called Aftermath, where they try to explain the world building, even though the movie I think should have done some of that work. I mean, I'm not expecting Lord of the Rings level world building where you have the first 5 minutes.
I am like, let's go. Like this Star Wars is one of these things that's been in the zeitgeist for. I don't mean fuck you. I mean fuck them. But it's just been in the zeitgeist for, it had been like 40 years at that point. It's just like, do better. Like, this is the type of thing. Yeah, she bypassed one of my favorite memes was, I bypassed the hero's journey. Is great. But
I forgot about that one. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that was a good one. But it was just it's just to try to reset everything into this new order. Space Nazis. And I remember something very distinctly racial about it too. I remember thinking that all the bad guys were white or old men, and I remember and I remember they were white or old white men. I remember distinctly clocking that at the time, and it was just it was like a harbinger of what was to come. I knew it was bad from the moment I sat there and watched it. I was like, this sucks. Like
the Last Jedi. Ryan Johnson actually brought in some people of color to be in the First Order, so you got some representation in the First Order.
But it was the subtle messaging. It was the imagery. I was like, this is slop. Because I was onto this woke shit before a lot of people, because I don't know, maybe because I was in Hollywood and I was reading a lot of the scripts that were out, that were being made. I remember reading this stuff and just, I was like, I was ahead of the curve on a lot of this stuff. But I wasn't a YouTuber at the time. I was just a noticer. But it was just, so I was already had a sensitivity to that. So when I saw it in this movie, it was like it clocked, it stuck.
Yeah. With there was, The Force Awakens was a mess. I mean, you had the whole you had the whole Poe Dameron thing. So they brought back Poe Dameron because
why? I don't know why.
I think because Oscar Isaac kind of convinced J.J. Abrams to do it. So even though he was clearly dead, he was dead, and not only that, he was dead, but there was quicksand. They landed on quicksand. There was only Finn that survived, so they couldn't really explain how he came back, but he came back. So that was an issue. Then the whole Finn thing, Finn being a soldier, but that Finn being a soldier all of his life, you would think that he would be a little bit more stoic, a little bit more, I've seen other works where you have a soldier that's always been a soldier, and they're very awkward, but they're very good at what they do. And they tried to explain Finn's idiocy by making him a janitor, which is retarded.
That. It's so stupid. You're like, why do you have on armor?
Yeah. So they just the whole thing was retarded. So
dumb. So that was, that just sums up the whole thing. It's so dumb. And I didn't go into like Mauler levels of critique, but I just remember just not liking it, sitting there feeling like this is the new era. This is the new Hollywood. It's all this feminism shit. Like, I could just feel it in the it was there.
So I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So after Rise, can you believe it? It's gonna this. It's been over 6 years since Rise of Skywalker came out. That's the last time J.J. Abrams made a movie. So like the last time I saw
That's what you
J.J.
get, bitch.
Yeah, and the last time I saw J.J. Abrams was, believe it or not, he was being trolled by this. There's this one YouTube channel, I forget what it is. This guy goes around trolling people, and he was trolling people at the Democratic convention here in Chicago in 2024. And J.J. Abrams, Jar Jar Abrams, was there, and this guy was trolling Jar Jar Abrams. And so last time I see J.J. Abrams was being trolled by this YouTuber, and he's like, "No, I'm not going to answer you," and all that. So, and that
didn't he get some giant deal with Warner Brothers that was
a
quarter of $1 billion or something?
And I guess that fell through because
did he get his money though?
I don't know.
See, that's the thing. If he just like walked away with a small fortune, maybe he's like, I don't really need to make more movies. I'll just go, get blown for the rest of my life.
Probably,
might be. I don't know. But yeah, no, like that guy. It's funny because I liked the Star Trek reboot, but I was never a big Trek guy. So like I didn't have any kind of affection like for the series prior.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I liked it too when it first came out. But
when it first came out,
yeah. But then after rewatching the original series, rewatching the original movies, like the motion picture, The Wrath of Khan, The Search for Spock, the movies got gradually worse. So you had Star Trek 2009, which was kind of like which was a reboot. It was basically, how Kirk and Spock meet. But the thing is, when you look at it objectively, it makes no sense because how does Kirk go from being an ensign to a captain in a single movie?
It's like it's so bad. Like, and that's the thing I don't like about these movies. It's like they want to rush these things. They want to start at the beginning but rush them, and it's just like, well, don't tell that story then. It's like.
Yeah, and it was trying to be Star Wars too. It was trying to be more action. Star Trek has never been. I mean, there is action in Star Trek, but the main draw to Star Trek was the ideas, the types of stories it told, and the only time there was action was when there was no choice. Whenever I mean, it's all about exploration. The only time they had to fight was when they came across dangerous, aliens like the Borg or the Romulans or something. But I mean, like and because of that, J.J. Abrams in that movie, who wrote that movie? Alex Kurtzman and Roberto Orci. So between the two of them, between Orci and Kurtzman, guess who was the bigger Star Trek fan? It wasn't Kurtzman.
Right.
It was Orci. Orci passed away a few years ago. Orci was originally supposed to direct the third Star Trek movie that ended up going to Justin Lin, who did a bunch of the Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah.
So I was surprised that Orci had. I liked how Orci and Kurtzman were like best friends. Like they worked together. I believe they grew up together. They did commentary.
Really?
Yeah, they did commentary on a few of the Star Trek movies. One of the original 6, I think it was Voyage Home. They did the commentary for the Blu-ray. And I don't know the history. I don't know what happened, but like Kurtzman just like completely, I don't know how Kurtzman got the job, but he completely he left Orci out. Orci was the bigger fan. The reason why the 2009 movie was decent was because Orci provide a lot of the ideas. He was the big Star Trek fan. He was a big Star Trek nerd. And he did do Into Darkness. Into Darkness has its own set of problems with bringing back Khan of all people. Yeah. Khan played by freaking Benedict Cumberbatch. Like really?
Yeah.
Now it could have worked because there were 57 other Supermen. So Khan was a Superman genetically altered human from the 1990s that gets awakened on a sleeper ship in the original series, and then they waken him. He tries to take over the ship, and then they manage to retake it. And they basically say, "Hey, Khan, you have your choice. You either go to prison, or you could try to tame a world. We're going to give you a chance to tame a world yourself. Tame an entire planet. You guys conquered a colony. You guys conquered Asia back in the 90s. can you tame a world? And he's like, well, have you ever read Milton? You know. And so that's the first time I ever heard Milton was watching that Star Trek episode, and it was basically him saying, "I'd rather reign in hell than serve you guys in heaven," basically. So, and then of course that happens, and then the Wrath of Khan happens, where things his attempt to reign the planet that they're on ends up going south. People die, and the planet gets warped and unlivable, and it causes him to be insane. And what happens? Well, he goes after the moment he has the chance to escape, he escapes and goes and tries to kill Kirk and whoever gets in his way. And that's what the Wrath of Khan's about. And Wrath of Khan's one of the greatest movies. Wrath of Khan is my favorite film of all time.
Oh, let's fucking go. Yeah. Well, I like I said, not being a star, and actually I got to wrap up pretty soon if you're all right with that, man.
I'm
starving.
It's fine. I figure, well, you're Central Time, right?
Yeah, I'm Central Time.
You're Central. So it's
hungry.
It's 11 p.m. and I had enough whiskey that I'm kind of hungry myself now. So yeah.
Yeah, no, but I was going to say that one of the coolest things I think about Wrath of Khan is the director not being a Star Trek fan.
Yes.
And going back through the originals and finding a story that he found was compelling, understanding the lore, understanding what people liked about it, and respectfully recreating it. Like, that's something that is just, and I hate to sound like a broken record or redundant or something that people have said 1,000 times, but it is really one of those things that Hollywood's just lacking. Like, there's just no respect. It's like they take these things, they helm these things that people have loved their whole lives, and they're so flippant. And they do it with things that like have these gigantic fan bases that could be, you see it with the success of One Piece. Like, I wasn't even a One Piece anime fan, and I love that show. And it's like you guys can turn these things, like the Fallout show, like they suck. It's like if you can turn these things into honor.
You didn't like the Fallout show either? Okay, at least I'm not the only one.
I fucking hate it.
All right, good.
I'm such a Fallout nerd though. Like, I've hated Bethesda Fallout pretty much the whole time. Like, I enjoyed Fallout 3 because it revitalized a series that I loved.
Yeah, that's how I first heard of it. I never heard of Fallout before that.
Oh yeah, I grew up playing those games, and I knew the lore and I knew what they were all about. And so, I played it and I was like, this isn't really Fallout, but, it's nice that it exists because it revitalized one of my favorite things ever. And that's cool. And then we got New Vegas out of it, which is the best of the series. And that's so great that was able to lead there. But Bethesda just genuinely doesn't understand Fallout. It doesn't understand what it's really all about. It just thinks, ooh, post-apocalyptic and Nuka-Cola and laser guns. They don't get it.
It seems like Bethesda's out of touch with almost everything nowadays. Like
they suck. I hate Bethesda. I think they make shit games. Even if they ran perfect, they would suck. The best thing they ever made was something Obsidian made, which is New Vegas. So yeah, I'm not a Bethesda guy, and but then it became clear with that show is that what they did was they got rid of all the interesting parts and they just made it a Bethesda show, and it fucking sucks. Anyway, yeah. I'm babbling. I gotta eat some food.
All right, so Matt, thanks for doing this. This was a great stream.
Yeah, brother. Thanks for having me, man.
So we have to do a part 3. So is there something? Is there a big reveal? Is there something you want to tell me that will lead us to part 3? Are you not who you truly say you are? Is there a betrayal on hand?
Brian. How could you say that, cousin?
Oh my God. Did you hear that? You heard it here first. You heard it here first, everybody. We are not related, but maybe we are. Who knows? So I mean, go check out my channel, Foulball Productions. I've got the MFR podcast. I do it every Tuesday with the occasional video thrown in there as well. So go watch along, stream along with me. All right. Well, Matt, thanks for doing this. It was a fun stream. We barely talked about Iran, but we did talk politics. So
we talked a lot of stuff, man. We talked religion, politics, movies. We covered the gamut.
I kind of let the conversation kind of
just
run
let
its
it
own
go.
course.
Yeah, let it go where it's got to go.
So, but yeah, so for me, no Chilporiel this week. I've been trying this year has been like, every every other week, I'll do a chilporial if I feel like it. I have to use it requires work from me. I have to reach out to people and say, hey, you want to do a chilporial?
I know.
That's basically what that's all it is. Like I don't have people lined up saying, hey, I want to be in chilporial. I don't want. Well, some people demand it, but I'm like, I can't just, what I mean. But still, I usually it's like for like when it comes to bringing guests on, it's my responsibility to basically ask and if the person wants to come and and then we kind of work it out, see if the person's interested. If the person's not interested, I'm not going to say anything. So but that's just kind of how it is. So
yeah.
So but Matt, did you enjoy yourself? Say yes.
I had a blast, brother.
Say yes. That's good, man. That's good. So but yeah, everybody subscribe to Foulball Productions. Definitely check out his streams. You do them like, I forget, you do them once a week or twice a week?
I do them definitely at least once and sometimes twice a week. It depends. I was working on some other things. I want to grow my audience, so I feel like videos are a better way to bring in new viewers. So I want to grow my audience so that the live streams have a more robust audience. So I have a few videos I'm working on. One I'm working on is Nick Fuentes' derangement syndrome, which I think is a real condition because people just refuse to give this guy his flowers, even though he's constantly right about everything, and I just don't understand it. To me, it's the only thing I can feel it's akin to is Trump derangement syndrome, where no matter what he said or did, people just didn't give him credit, and I think it's the exact same situation. So I'm working on that.
Okay.
And I'm working on another video about the downfall of James Lindsay.
Yeah, he's been getting roasted quite a bit too.
He sucks, and I want to.
I forget. Is he a neocon? Is he a neocon?
He's a nothing. I mean, he's technically a classical liberal, but he's not even that. I mean, he's just a fucking pro-war Ziobot statist at this point. But the reason I'm doing the video is not to just rake him. It's because I was a fan for a while. I really liked James Lindsay. I followed what he did. I used to watch all his appearances. I thought he was a fantastic commentator. And, once Trump got elected this time, I don't know, he got his marching orders or something changed with that motherfucker because he is a completely different guy. And I do not like him.
Yeah, I don't know enough about him. I've seen him on like Tim Pool a few times. I stopped watching Tim Pool a long time ago.
Dude, he was really badass. Like back in the day of the woke, he did this fantastic troll on academia where he found like passages from Mein Kampf, and he replaced Jews with straight white men, and then just submitted it to these collegiate journals, these journals that do the updated, like whatever, like the more hot text for these colleges is, and it got submitted, it got accepted, it got approved.
Oh,
because
no.
He was proving how dogmatic these people are as long as you pick the and I was like, that's brilliant. Like, how fucking funny is that?
Oh my gosh.
It's this whole thing called the grievance studies, and he did all this stuff, and it was these fantastic works exposing what frauds these academics are, and it was great. And he wrote a couple good books that I read that I thought were really strong. So I'm coming at it from an angle in a way that's just like, I used to really like and respect this guy, and I don't know what the hell happened to him. He lost his fucking mind.
Yeah, I mean, lot of yeah, it just seems like a lot of people are being roasted right now. I mean, Posobiec has been getting his he's been getting roasted about Lord of the Rings of all things.
Really?
Like he just said today, it's a pagan thing, and my buddy Feanor and a whole bunch even Nerdrotic has been saying, like, you're retarded, dude. You're fucking retarded saying that. Everybody knows that Tolkien was a Catholic. Heck, I had Miss Mara Muses on last year, and we were talking about we were bridging Lord of the Rings and fantasy with Catholicism because she's also the Catholic explainer, and she was explaining how Galadriel was based off of the Virgin Mary, and I mean there was a lot of other aspects of Catholicism and Christianity and in Lord of the Rings. I mean, Gandalf was basically Christ rising from the dead, him coming back from the dead, and all that. Yeah,
it's so crazy, but yeah. So So that's what I'm up to. I'm fading.
All right, yeah, I didn't mean to trap you. So yeah,
It's
so
not your fault. I'm having a blast, but I'm like so hungry, man. I didn't eat before the stream. That was a mistake.
all right, so go and eat, and everybody, stay tuned. 2 weeks, I'm gonna have another Choporeal DJ Axis, and we're gonna be talking about retro video games, and he composes his own video game music. So stay tuned for then. So everybody, take care, stay Choporeal, and subscribe to Foulball Productions.
Check
Take
me
care,
out.
everybody.
Peace.